pleasure to have you out to our quarterly visits. We'll see you again, I guess, in October, is that the next one? Because it wouldn't be a quarter without you.
So we submitted reports, I think we got them. So on the first page, we find with Larry's request that we do a comparison from year to year. So actually didn't a few months ago.
And you did a comparison, it's not the first one.
Yes, correct. So I went back to January 1st to June 30th and of this year, and then on the second half of the page is January 1st to June 30th, 2013. So during this year, the total attendance was 3,590 as all of our programs, and last year the number was 3,492, an increase of 2.8% from last year. And the categories are the same as I reported on before. These are categories pretty much defined by the Department of the Aging, and our reporting to them is educational recreational groups, there's self-promotion groups, which include things like exercise programs, health screenings, vaccinations, and support groups. And I think Rita was just going to ask something about the increase, because I want to mention anything about the implications of that.
Well, I could mention it after.
After we go through. All right. Okay, any questions?
Not that one, at least I don't. But we may come back to it, but just keep going, you're rolling, so don't stop.
And then on the second page, we talk about our core services. Again, we do not have a comparison with last year. I mentioned this at the last meeting because this is a new database. It's a new storage database that the city is requiring us to use, and it was a pretty database that we used last year. So it's like comparing apples and oranges. We've been using this database since October 1st, so once we start hitting stride, then we'll start making it usable.
So by the next quarter, we'll see the comparison, right? Is that correct?
Actually, not the next
Go on,
one.
yeah. Okay.
We'll be able to do the comparison. So these are just the numbers of hours that we spent over this period of case management, case assistance, and social work services. Whether it be managing a case, which involves heavy duty meeting with people, making referrals, helping them with benefits, and across the board, classical social work case management. Case assistance often for individual requests for help with Medicare or an individual problem that can be solved on the spot or with a brief referral. It's not an ongoing case. And then similarly with the healthcare management, healthcare assistance categories. Healthcare management is when the nurse really takes on a case, is seeing that person regularly, either by the week or by the month, is in touch with doctors, physical therapists, with family members typically, and is really taking charge of the person's health care to the extent the person requests it. Healthcare assistance, again, similar to a case assistance. Somebody calls the nurse up, I'm not feeling well, can you come over and see what you think? The nurse runs up, this is not a client that she sees every week or every month. It's somebody that she goes in, takes a look at, and makes a recommendation based on that. So those are the two different kinds of categories that our services basically go into. Again, these are from the aging. Any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
When you say there were 574 case management hours,
Yeah.
the number of people that actually were assisted is how many?
I'd have to look that up, so I'm giving you an estimate.
We won't hold you to it this month, but next month we'll hold you
So it would be about 100.
to 100 people. So when you do case assistance, now, when you look at that, now what is that? I'm not holding you to it,
Right.
just guesstimate,
Yeah, I'd say about
50. And the healthcare management?
50. Unique individuals, probably about 60.
Right. This is, you've got a lot of people here. Now, they don't do this themselves, right? In this case, they're really individually grouped. In other words, the case management people would not be in the healthcare management people, would they?
No, they could be.
Oh, they could be.
They would not be in assistance. If you're in management, you're in management.
Right.
But you could have both the nurse managing your healthcare and the social worker managing your
Okay.
other communities.
So what a great service. Great number of people, great service. Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
This is, I mean, are these considered like care coordination services essentially? Is this, is that, and this is, I mean, familiar with this field, I mean, these are generally the types of services that are meant to prevent more severe and complicated interventions, right? In terms of
Yeah, I would think-
hospitalizations and hospitals, ER visits.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no doubt we reduced the number of ER visits, we believe we reduced the number of nursing home admissions. So, yeah, all of our work is preventive in nature. And there is a lot of care coordination involved. One of the issues with the elderly population is that there is a difficulty with coordinating and having doctors talk to physical therapists and pharmacists getting correct medication and so forth. So a lot of what the nurse does is that kind of self-care. Yeah, we call it coordination.
The coordination is like the management.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Case management is coordination.
Yeah.
But how do you reduce ER visits? I mean, if the person's ill, the nurse can't perform medical treatment to this person.
Yeah, again, I think a lot of the work is preventive. In other words, the first sign that somebody isn't feeling well, call up the nurse.
Right.
And then maybe some intervention prevents
Like,
the kind of cascade. Yeah. Cascading and then the other. There are times where if there's no nurse there, the person may just call out.
right.
But the nurse can come over and say, well, we can wait on this. You have palpitations or something like that. I'm not a health
No, wait,
so I don't know if I'm saying it right now.
I think you're saying something more severe when the nurse would hold back, but that's okay. We won't hold you to that either. Because maybe you want to go to the hospital for that, but that's okay.
Which is often the case. I mean, the nurses will often go over and say, look, we have to call 911. She's not an emergency responder.
Right.
She's not a doctor. But there's often situations where she can provide some guidance and advice that enables the person to avoid the ER, which is, everybody would like to avoid.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, just, for folks to understand, I mean, what MRHS is doing here is part of a growing movement, really, in health and change how we deliver healthcare. And it's more about coordinating services at the front end, so there's more preventative care, and more connection to services, for whatever that patient might need, be it housing, social work, going to a primary care doctor, mental health services, things that they found that over time, if left untreated, particularly when they are comorbid, and it's all in the same person, that's for sure, that does tend to lead to higher cost interventions, more emergency rooms, and also just worse outcomes. I mean, it's much better, it's bringing your car in to get, for maintenance versus, letting it fall apart on the road, basically. And so, I mean, I think it's great that, and when it comes to, to the aging population, this is the real struggle that a lot of providers are having right now, given that more people are aging and they need these services. Organizations like NORCS and others that connect to the aging population are really playing a vital role, more vital than probably before, in managing the health and well-being of the population.
Any other questions? So for the next quarter, I know you want to speak there, I just wanted to point out, you'll put one more column here and just give us the actual number of people, and compare this quarter to the next quarter. Is that okay? Rita, I know you wanted to say something.
Oh, I just thought that some of the questions that I asked Ron about might interest you as well. First of all, you mentioned that by next quarter, we will follow the STARS completely, the STARS database, which is the new database. And these categories for the the first two, which are more the education, recreation, etc., the ones that do not have to do with the health and.
The ones on page 1.
Yes.
Okay.
that they will also use the STARS database and therefore be expressed in ARCS. Correct?
No, they will be expressed the same way by attendance.
Oh, by attendance?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So we will be able to, even when we go to STARS, we will be able to still compare.
Okay, so they'll be followed up in the STARS, but they can take the same format
Yeah,
as before.
yeah.
And it's interesting that, that when we talk about preventive, okay, you look at the case management and case assistance and say these are somewhat preventive in that they prevent people from going to PR or nursing home, etc. But the first part is even more preventive in that we are talking about an earlier stage of prevention where people take care of their health or get educated or get screenings and so forth. And so I asked Ron the projection for which areas are likely to increase. And basically, with the increase of with the changing demographics, the baby boomers turning over 60 or 60, some of them over 65 now.
A lot of this is.
And we are going to, for a while, have a situation of more young elders or younger seniors who would be attracted to this category of services. And so you do see that increasing, whereas Ron thinks that the other services might plateau for a while until the baby boomers get to an older age and will need more serious healthcare. So I thought that was quite interesting. And now, aside from the demographics, it also, I think another thing that might be going on is that it affects the way people look at MRIs, not just as a place that you go to when you need serious health care, but also as a place where you could do all these other things and therefore this changes the image of MRHS. At the same time, MRHS is satisfying a demand that's already there because of the age of these people and their need to maybe do certain hobbies or interest groups. And many of them, and once you get people interested, we get people offering to volunteer to lead certain groups, and so it becomes more and more well-staffed, or at least my staff, I don't mean necessarily professional staff, but that there are more people involved. So that is all contributing to this mix.
Anybody? No?
What's STARS mean?
What it stands for something, right? It's like something
Senior.
like-
It doesn't really mean much of anything. A reporting system is RS.
No, it's okay. Next time you'll pass the test. We'll ask you the same question next time. Anybody else? Anything else?
But I do know what PBS stands for, by the way.
Public Broadcasting System.
And by the way, they were here a couple of weeks ago, and they did a lot of, they're here all day, and did a lot of filming. and-
Yes, I saw you as a movie star. You dressed and you were very nice.
Okay, move on.
Can you talk more about that?
They're doing this 5-part series, PBS station in Albany, is doing a 5-part series. One of the parts being on aging in place. And that particular segment is focused on North programs. So they filmed in Newark with Rochester, one in Albany, and of the 30 Newarks in New York City, they came here. So, and that'll be showing in the spring of 2015. So.
That's good. You'll put out the notices. We'll be able to DVR it and make sure we get it recorded, right?
Screen it up and on.
What was that?
We'll screen it to be up and on.
They get a big screen. Anyhow, we're all good? Everybody? Thank you so much for coming. Look forward to the next quarter. It's great. Thank you. All right, we are now up to approval of the minutes. Mr. Secretary, what do you have for us this evening?
I'd like to move the approval of the open session minutes.
Okay.
So we need the second before we do it.
Can we have a second on the minutes, please? Somebody? Yes, second. Okay. Yes, John.
Okay, for the treasury report, under, this represents an increase of $600 over the previous year's previous contract. It should state this is due to, maybe something of sales tax.
Additional services.
Additional services.
Okay, so I think that helped.
Excellent. So the minutes are before us, open session minutes only. It's been moved, as amended and seconded. Are we ready? All in favor? And it's unanimous. What a wonderful. Oh, was it? I'm sorry. Oh, you weren't here. I'm sorry. That's right. He had an important business engagement he had to be on, which I'm very jealous of. It's okay. All right, we're now up to Russell.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Russell.
Uh,
You're supposed to answer, you know? It's like, good evening, Russell.
Okay, I have a relatively short report for this evening, so I'll run through it. Starting with our local law roof balcony and garage repairs. Our projects are moving into the final stages, and again, another month with no change order approvals requested at this time. A grounds retaining wall, the retaining wall at the south side of Building 6 has been completed. The garage pedestrian door relocation, we have received the approval from the Department of Buildings to do the work, and the process is expected to start within the next week to 2 weeks. The chimney repair is currently underway. They were here yesterday and today. We ran into a little snag that I wanted them to ask our architects, Custo George, on the waterproofing detail to ensure the base is waterproof properly. So they are working out the details to finalize that. Our interior hallway lighting, the preparation and anticipation of receiving the new fixtures has been moving along. The electricians have encountered several floors throughout the various buildings that did require a rewiring due to the age of the existing wires. Management has been aware of this possibility and will present to the board in the future of automating the additional costs. The light fixtures themselves are expected to be here in approximately 2 weeks. We were hoping to get them before the end of June, but it looks like we're going to get them before the end of July. Our exterior lighting project with Domingo Gonzalez has walked the property with various electrical contractors for the bidding process. Further details are to be discussed, and we are awaiting proposed meeting dates at this time. The building canopies, the copper flashing has been installed on 4 buildings with the exception of buildings 4 and 5. Some concerns on the aesthetic of the copper as it looks has been raised. In response, we're looking into options to expedite the patina process. Yes.
So, can you explain that a little bit more? So, right now, it's kind of,
Well, I can explain, because I just had the conversation with York today. They're gonna polish them back up to pure copper color. But if you do nothing to this copper, it's going to turn brown. If it turns brown first.
Initially.
And that brown lasts for 25 to 35, 40 years. Until it turns green. So the issue is that the brown, and you know what the brown looks like. It's the brown that's on the vent for the dryer, that blows the air out of the building next to MRHS. You know when you pass that copper? That's a copper, a piece of metal there. Well, that copper has been brown for over 10 years. So it's not necessarily something that's aesthetically pleasing when the copper bright is a nice thing, but you know the copper has to turn. And what you want to do is get it to the green faster, because it's a richer, a more aesthetically pleasing thing than having brown sitting there and waiting for the gods to you know, oxidize it and turn it to the color you want.
Or the
That's coming
chemicals,
off.
or the chemicals in the air.
More like
The chemicals will eat the color. Different story.
It was a question about gods. that's all.
Okay, okay. Does that answer your question? Patrice?
Yeah, but so then what are we planning to do here? So we're,
We don't know yet. We're looking to see, if we want, that
There's a
we
chemical
would.
reaction process
Yeah.
that can take place, that can expedite the
oh, they can hasten it,
process.
so,
Yes.
so
Yes.
basically you're just getting.
You'll be green.
Right, we could get it to that nice
I got you.
green color a little quicker.
Yes, John? We don't know yet. We're just
Their
spraying.
fingerprints that they.
Yeah.
No, they're polishing them.
No, that's gonna be cleaned off first. All the marks from the installation everyone is seeing currently, where it does look dirty and you can
That's
see
gonna
the
be
finger marks.
spotless. It's gonna be bright,
That is
shiny
gonna
copper.
that is gonna be cleaned off.
Right. You will see bright, shiny copper. The problem is, very soon after that, it will not be bright, shiny copper, it will be brown. That's the problem. Okay?
Our last capital project currently underway is the division of our commercial space. Prior to the start of construction, we were required to perform the asbestos and lead testing. As expected, the original floor does contain asbestos and will require professional abatement.
So that you know what the original floor is. You have to remember that that space was divided up into several stores at different levels. There's a real floor that's there. When Dwayne Reed came in, we gave them money and said, here, you do whatever you want to do. They went in and laid a second floor on top to make it level. They pierced the asbestos tile. Once you do that, you have friable asbestos. So you have a whole place contaminated, that potentially is contaminated with asbestos, which can be treated. But has to be worked out.
Yeah, to that extent, since the floor was breached to anchor the new floor that they put on top, it has to be, the whole floor has to be abated. But then now the question is, what comes first, the chicken before the egg? How can you get to the floor to abate it until you demo the floor on top? So it's actually one of these wonderful processes we get to work out with the city on how we do it.
I mean, given how much it costs for an apartment, of which I've heard is 10 or 20, it's like, what is this, $500,000? What is this?
Oh, I hope to goodness no. The renovation itself was about
You just give me a
$170,000. The abatement for this type of square footage can run pretty high. So at this point, we're actually going to do it for the whole entire space, because no matter what we end up dividing, we're going to need to have it cleaned out anyway. This will be the initial
We can't encase
start.
it?
It's been pierced. No, that's why.
Or
That would have been the number one option, would have been for us to encapsulate it. But because it was pierced by the installation of the floor on top, no. So that option went out the window.
The new floor is being used, the floor is going to be put in is being removed.
Yes. And you almost consider that, it's actually a floor, but it's it's a stage basically, because of the incline of Amsterdam Avenue.
And the two stages.
It's one huge stage.
So it has to be,
Trying to level it
so
out.
yeah, you're not gonna go to the basement.
Our June customer service satisfaction report, we had completed 139 work orders, 92 shareholders responded as satisfied, and we are awaiting feedback from 47 with no unsatisfied shareholders for this month. Our sales and transfer report for the month of June and July 2014, 3 units closed and 1 unit is pending to close. There are 3 potential scheduled interviews for tenant selection meeting, August 13th, and there are 8 units under contract or in contract. Currently, there are 21 apartments on the market, and 2 new units were placed on the market between July and June. There have been 18 closings so far this year, not 15. 18. The new maintenance payment procedures. I understand this was a very confusing thing for many people, and management responded while I was away on vacation with several notices about this. But as of the date of this meeting, First Service Residential will no longer use Click and Pay to process your maintenance payments. As an alternative, you may register with our new service, ClickPay. Additionally, starting on August 1st, regular checks and money orders can be sent through your particular online bank, must be to the new lockbox address. Just so people understand that if you have a Chase or Citibank or Amalgamated, and you have set up a monthly online payment through that online system, you now have to go in there and change the address of where you're sending your maintenance payments. When we do transitions like this, the company does expect a certain amount of layover. So if you do happen to send it to the wrong address, the money will get transferred over to the correct address for the first month or two. By approximately the third month, checks will be returned and payments will be lost. We'll also be very lenient, obviously, if it comes to any late fees that are caused by any confusion experienced by residents. Some of our late fees are also put in automatically, so if you do receive a late fee and feel that it was unfairly applied to your account due to the new payment system, please give us a call, and we're more than willing to work with shareholders on that issue.
As one of the early complainers, I very much appreciate Sabrina, your very quick response. And just yesterday, I went in and it all works, and our property is there, and it's fine.
We work in
that's all I was gonna say.
Dan,
I want to just, I know there was a lot of confusion about this, and I just want to, maybe we can put out one more notice now that we are live. Just, because, people read it, both on the email blast and yours, it's like, now's the
great
time.
idea, Dan. I think it should be done.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Chief.
That's not an issue.
Yeah, I have a question. People can sign up for the new one, just in case, like, if some people I know, some people like me, do the automatic, the bank will transfer automatically, not mailing a check through Click and Pay, the old system. If those people, I know what I'm going to do, if those people forget to delete whatever that system, the bank doesn't know. So are they going to get double charges from Click and Pay and then Click Pay?
All their accounts are Click and Pay after today with disabled. So
But-
there's no more payments being made through Click and Pay.
We won't receive.
But what she's saying, if you set up that payment with your particular bank,
Right.
for example, Citibank,
Yeah.
you have to go in and change that.
Right,
You
but,
have to change that.
yeah, we have to change it, that
Yes.
I know.
But that's not
But
Click Pay.
Right.
No.
No.
Click and Pay. I can tell my bank saying that, okay, I changed to Click Pay, right? And my saying is, if people didn't go into their bank to make the change, then I think either Citi or Chase or other banks will probably automatically still go to the old
No,
one.
that's
No?
not how it works.
No, actually, I think what you're saying is a little confusing, Chief. If you have set up with your bank, Citibank as the example, online, your payment doesn't go to Click and Pay. It goes to the lockbox address here. That's how they do it. It doesn't transfer money to Click and Pay. Click and Pay previously and now Click Pay. Only if you're registered on Click Pay or previously Click and Pay, it would automatically transfer the money out. So
Right.
people who have it set up with your bank on your online to send out a payment, it's usually not a transfer. It's not a transfer to Click and Pay. It's a live check sent out to the lockbox. So
Yeah, how about, I don't remember, I haven't done that yet, but how about if I check, I get account from Click and Pay, saying, okay, you can withdraw money from my bank.
you
Will
won't.
that be, will Click and Pay, even though First Service has no relationship with Click and Pay, are they going, because Click and Pay is another company, are they
Right.
going to still get money from my bank?
But you said they were disabled.
Right, they're
Right.
disabled. All the accounts are disabled.
Click and
So
Pay,
they won't do it
if you
anymore.
were already registered with Click and Pay previously, they're not taking the money out of your account. They're not gonna touch your account. That all has been canceled for everyone.
Okay, that's good.
I would just recommend adding the notice that you can both of those cases? Like
Yes.
And the,
I think it's a very important point, because I think a lot of people, you know, when you set up a payment on an online banking system, Citibank, Chase, whatever it is, you know, like you don't realize that is just literally a check or a money order going to an address. That's all your bank is doing. They're doing it automatically for you, mailing a check to an address. That is very different than Click and Pay, or now Click Pay, which transfers money out of your account. You allow them to pull the transfer out. So it is, it's the distinction, it can be pretty confusing, so, absolutely. And final notice of,
Dan, just so you know, there's no Ronald cookies in front of you. I don't want you to feel.
Love my dinner, so.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure that you know that.
And coffee's ready. Okay, where are we?
rodents again. Recently, we received one report of a rat sighting on our grounds, and a couple of possum sightings as well.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
We have notified our pest control company, and they've been working to address the issue. Since we did remove the greenhouse and have now stored our trash in the lockable containers, the rodent problem in general has been virtually non-existent for the entire property.
Can I ask where it was? I saw one too at Dawson.
Near the,
No, not a possum, just a rat. Two actually.
near the playground.
Correct.
I
Where?
saw one right here, right outside my house.
Not by eight.
Hoppity, hoppity, hop.
That's not a rat.
It was a bat, I swear.
That's a rabbit.
It
It
was
is a
it
rabbit.
was
It's a rabbit.
No, I'm telling
You have rabbits.
you. It was a rabbit.
Russell
It was so
Mines, this
happy.
was up at 123rd Street. I've seen it twice now where they're going into the ground covering by building 5.
Okay,
Running across 123rd Street and diving down into the bushes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, in fact, you know, right now, this time of night, I'm not leaving very early in the morning, and it was a dead one, right in the middle, when you come out of the.
But that's good, that means he ate the bait.
Yeah, I know, but he was right in the middle of it. I almost didn't go to work, because, you know, I don't like walking, you know, could have been playing possum, you said you're a possum. And I was a little nervous about walking around this rat, but I don't know if it was reported, it wasn't here this afternoon,
Right.
so somebody carried it off, but I don't know where it's coming from, but it can't be from too far, because they don't go too far, so that lower part of the path here, building 5 needs to be checked too. Or there will be grass there, or the flowers behind the security booth, something.
Appreciate it. I mean, I'm a city person in general. I looked up possums on the internet, and actually, at a quick glance, if one of those ran by me, I would probably think it's a rat. They do look rodent-like. They have a fatter tail,
Tippity hop.
but they have a different
It was not a
motion.
rabbit.
So,
I've seen that too.
having seen, you know, seeing something jet across a path, and probably, you know.
Possum eat rats?
No.
Dead rat falls,
If we can get cage snakes, we can have them move in. But it's very funny that we actually have any rat sightings to think about it, because we've destroyed their food source. They have no dedicated food source anymore. So why they're up at this point in building 5, it may be they're living across the street
I think so.
in that food source, and they're coming to us. That's what I think may be.
Coming that far down, they may already be in that under the growth, you know.
I think they're nesting in the
They're nesting.
ground cover.
They're probably
Right.
nesting there already, because I know a little bit about rats.
We got to plant a tree over
At
that spot.
MGCA, when I
Just
was chair,
put
we
it
had
in.
a 2-hour conversation with experts about
Great
it.
stuff.
So they're not coming from very far.
Right, no, definitely not.
No, they're coming close.
Yeah.
Well, we'll focus on these areas with our exterminator.
That's
Focus on these areas.
So we had given a little bit also back about the net food, garbage as
Yes.
well, because it's like, I think that could be a potential source of food. So even though we take care of our garbage, like if you walk past net food, it smells horrible. So I think that,
That food smells how?
well, but the trash aside, so the point being that they could potentially be going to
Well,
those
two
other
things.
tenants for food.
In a general sense, I think, I personally walk that garbage area a lot more often, at least twice a week. And it's been a lot better generally than our garbage area has ever been. Though the rolling containers that do come out of Met Food, they have tops, and sometimes, especially after they're empty, they'll reek. So we stopped in, we talked to them about having them actually wash them out in the interim between that, to hopefully get rid of this.
And there's a hose there.
you.
I actually
So-
saw watching the other day when I was from my.
Yeah, so I mean, and they're generally very accommodating to our requests, whenever we ask them to do things, they do.
All right, I'll keep going. We got 3 more items and then we can go on. Okay.
Our annual notice of electrical sub-metering, the board has a sample in their package. Every year, it's a new requirement by law, we started it last year. As required annually by the New York State Public Service Commission, Home Energy Fair Practice Act, residents who are sub-metered must be notified annually of certain rights. Individual notices will be sent to each resident next month. The laundry room update, management's understanding, we reported this last month as well, that August is a pretty slow time in Morningside, a little more quiet than normal. With that in mind, we're still targeting and on target to change out the machines in August of 2014. As we do get closer, notices will be posted, and we'll try to work it out where when we're doing one building, the next adjacent building has an active laundry room. We'll plan it out accordingly.
So what's the turnover time? Get the old machines out and new ones?
Generally, it's about 1 week for one room, because there's other work we're doing in the rooms.
It's not just the machines.
Are you doing lighting as well?
And there's a big improvement on the exhaust, because they're gonna be able to get into they make the door, they're gonna get into the pit, which we've never been able to do in all the buildings, so that we can clean it out regularly ourselves and get rid of that lint.
Some things will be a little more obvious, painting of your rooms, things like that will be a little more obvious, but
Yes,
there's
sir.
some less obvious things.
Yeah, to go back to the lighting, because I think a few months ago when we talked about
Oh, the
I
tables.
had said that, yeah, in some of the laundry rooms, there's no lighting where the tables are,
Right.
it's just for the machines, and so additional lighting you can put in at a time, you think?
Yes, yes, that shouldn't be an issue.
But this is an LED, we can cover LED for the laundry rooms?
We will replace them with LEDs, but we didn't go to
We haven't covered that.
we haven't covered that in a.
I think I think the plan is to.
The plan was to do it in kind.
Refit them, isn't it? Are we gonna refit them? Can make them into LEDs rather than buy a whole new fixture? Wasn't that the plan?
Oh, for the longer, the
Yeah, the long
3
ones.
foot, the
Yeah,
4
yeah,
foot fluorescent
yeah.
tubes? If possible, yeah, but if not,
Like a garage, too.
Well, no, that's a brand new fixture. We're talking about just refitting, the ends so you hold the LED board.
Queen's laundry room, I think, has about 4 or 5 long fixtures in there.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a huge issue of design. Should the SNS committee or another committee want to contact me and get involved in the design aspect of it, or in my head, it was a simple replacement. We're going to do something in time. So that's definitely something I'm willing to discuss. The tree pruning, please note that the tree pruning has been and will be taking place in various locations throughout the property. Volunteer members of the grounds committees who are working closely with our arborists to determine the best course of action and care for our trees. I just want to make a side comment about that. A full report is being put together by our arborist, and the grounds committee is also going to set up a meeting date with our arborist for questions and answers.
For the shareholders.
For all the shareholders to come and ask questions and become more informed. Some trees are going to be pruned pretty extensively for fear of damage and falling limbs and things of that nature. We're doing the best we can, but working under the advisement of our professional arborist.
You're skinning of the tree?
What's the time frame for the show?
No, I don't have time for that yet.
They have to work it out so that he's available speaking, so there's no risk of that.
Maybe it's another thing, but
I think it has to be a separate issue. There's gonna be a lot of questions, because there's, I think, a few trees that have to come down too. Our trees took a terrible, terrible beating, and some of them are really, really sickly damaged. Yeah, that's the town home. Yeah.
So maybe we can fold them with the town hall.
I don't think so. I think that needs its own. Okay,
That concludes my open session.
all right, so now we're up
Any
to.
questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. You have questions?
Yes, can we get a status on the bike, storage issues and, get those spaces?
Oh, as of right now?
I thought I asked her, maybe I just dreamed it. I don't know.
No, you didn't put it in any email.
Did I?
He asked it at the last meeting.
Oh, I did?
I remember you asking it.
I don't think it was.
But,
General sense of
in general sense, let's see. I have about 70 more people on the waiting list, and I maybe have, let's say about between 35 to 40 more spaces to fill out.
And of the, how many spaces have been given out? Or have been?
Roughly,
There's 190 something spaces.
Total spaces.
And there's only 70 left. Right,
Well,
you
it's
say
like
40 left,
like-
40 left,
Right.
40, 50 left.
Right. I
I
don't have any actual count.
mean, just, building 3, and I know it doesn't seem like much has changed.
No, building 3 is, as a matter of fact, for building 3, that's where I get the most requests, for bicycle spaces in building 3. Building 6, I have a lot of empty spaces, which I haven't been able to fill up, but I was on vacation last week, so, I'm back now, and I'm gonna send out the next 20 some of my letters.
Does everybody who has a bike, I mean, every letter you send out, I mean, do they sign a contract?
Yes, but if they want a space, yes. Everyone that takes a space on the bicycle.
No, because everybody that was on the list originally,
Right.
does everyone?
Take a space?
Take a contract?
No. No, some people who no longer want space, some people actually moved because we have, people that have been on the waiting list since 2002. Who no longer live here.
And the initial charge we went out with, we had about 80 spaces available
Yeah.
initially, and we went out to the first 50 on that
And the
list.
first 40 or so.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right, because some people have multiple bikes.
Exactly. I'll do an inventory and,
Yeah, anybody
send out
else?
an
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we could do an update to the board via email.
Yeah, I mean, something where I think just like a breakdown of that, like numbers, spaces rented, contracts signed, repaid.
Gotcha.
Per building.
Well, I'll break it down, I'll break it down.
Well, I think it's
I have
interesting
it.
that 6 has open spaces, and I mean.
Yes,
it's
okay,
interesting.
that's
never
fine.
gone through the-
You mentioned, I know, Russell, the Verizon Files contract. What's the status, I guess, the office is turning over files?
Correct. We're in the process of turning over the files. By virtue of that, we're also gonna turn our phones over to our VoIP phones as well.
And I know you mentioned, I mean, one of the issues we raised a while ago was, the Wi-Fi in the gym, thinking about other public areas, and
Yes.
that would be an option.
Absolutely. That's kind of the phase 2, phase 3 options. We wanna get our basic communication up and running first, so our internet, our phones. From there, definitely, we have the workshop slotted for Wi-Fi, the gym slotted for TV and Wi-Fi. So,
Laundry rooms.
no, actually, no. I don't think I put it on the wish list, but.
Actually, the one for you get very good reception of learning.
I mean, you take your thing down there and just watch a video while you.
Drive everybody else crazy.
James doesn't like it, Dan. It's not gonna go.
I think you're putting a TV up there, you just personal communication.
Well, look, you got the let's look at the places. You got the shops. You got the 100 LaSalle. You've got the plaza. You've got the family.
Plus it's gonna be what?
Yes, for that. The main plaza, one and two plaza. You have the playroom, right?
Yeah.
Now, those are gonna be wired for Wi-Fi. That was always the intention, I think that was
Yeah,
always
right.
discussed. We never discussed the laundry rooms as being a place. And then, of course, you have the gym with you have the Wi-Fi and the TV. Yes?
And then how much does it cost say for each space? Like what's the approximate cost for wiring?
Initially, when I estimated everything out, our communications on a monthly basis is almost $4,000 between internet and phones throughout.
Now.
TV. Now.
That's how much
Right,
we're.
that's
Now.
Time Warner Cable and RCN in the various combinations. The flip over to Files is gonna reduce that by about $1,000 to $1,200 a month.
I think the
But
question was, what does it cost to add a laundry room?
Was it wire like a brand new space? How much would it cost to wire each of the spaces?
You just have to make sure you get one of those. That's why it's the space.
Same account, just different, you can go up as many, routers.
That's a hard question, because we're not necessarily wiring every single building. If a building doesn't have, I think like building 4 isn't planned on being wired at all. So, not because of that, but there isn't a common area in building 4, there isn't
Uncommon area.
Uncommon people.
you don't have a game room, you don't have a gym.
Composting, James.
So for that reason, they're wiring the laundry room of building 4 would be a huge expense to get the wiring there and then running the.
I guess maybe the question is like, if we're, I mean, maybe we can, this is an amenity, it's a public amenity, so when the time comes for this, for that second stage, can we have a discussion about areas that,
Absolutely, open to that. Absolutely.
We actually have a motion to do the
The motion passed for the plaza.
Yeah.
We passed it last year.
That's the motion to do the plaza.
I think, if we have the cost of
It was a while ago.
It was just back to the concept.
Or was it just generally talked about?
I guess we didn't, is that a general password that everybody, like all shareholders get?
Yes. Yes.
Well, we could charge for it.
The public one will be some.
You said that,
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Well, I didn't know if you were leading down that path, but we certainly could charge for it.
Charge for it.
You were charging. Dan, anything else? We're good? Okay, we're up to the treasurer.
Okay, so, we're at the treasurer's at the finance meeting. The only thing I want to call people's attention to on the second page of Russell's report, the last line of the expenses. We've had a year where we had some buyout, some severance pay, snow removal, salt and stuff. So we're looking at currently about $125,000 in overage for payroll and the like. And we're going to watch it very carefully. We're going to try to make it up, but there's a possibility it might be tight to make that up. So it's kind of like an asterisk just in our minds that that is happening. And we'll work very hard in the next couple of months to try and make that up. We have a few things. Energy has really been down, so that's been very helpful. Our flip taxes have been very high. We had one apartment that sold this year that was $100,000 in flip tax. Wow. So there's a possibility we will make that up. That it's just something we're going to watch for them.
Sorry, Ms. Last, finance committee that's out of town. So, water meters, has that happened yet?
Well,
No, it's done.
Yeah.
So just waiting for the bill.
Well, no, have they told us? I mean, they haven't
No,
told
we
us.
haven't.
They don't
Here's the
answer.
interesting question. It's a quarterly bill. We're still waiting to find out what is the quarter? Because they don't seem to be on a quarter like we understand it, which would be April, July. So we're trying to figure that, once we know the quarters, then we'll know when we get this bill. But I think by the time we come back, we will actually have paid a bill. And it should be based, and it will be based on the meters.
And the bills
If you get a lot of money or owe a lot of money, right?
And the bills will be very clear on, this one is the actual reading, and it'll normalize, so.
Yeah, I know.
So we'll have it. But we'll be looking forward, John, we will be looking forward to the 6-month audit now in September. That's going to be a big indicator, correct? All right. Everybody good? Anybody questions? All right, President's report. There's a lot in the President's report, so let me begin. I created an ad hoc committee to deal with the unclaimed bikes. I want to thank on behalf of myself and the board, Andy Ackerman and Dan Lowenstein, for agreeing to take on this task and providing our intergenerational community with a great activity. Due to their efforts, the corporation netted $872.
Nice.
Not bad, huh?
Bravo.
You have something? Yes?
Can I make a motion?
Sure you can.
That HHC make a donation of $872 to MRHS.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second,
Who's seconding?
Yvonne? Yvonne, seconds, okay, 872. Any discussion about the donation?
Just to clarify for everyone, that's less than what we paid in overtime for 4-hour shots for work.
We paid $582 in overtime, you subtract 582 for the total amount of money earned, and you get 872.
No, I'm just clarifying for those who don't know about that. That's-
I know, but that's good financial accounting. All right, all in favor, any discussion? No? All in favor? Okay. Russell, can you cut him a check?
Will?
Okay. All right, so now, just a point I want to tell you about before I go on with the rest of this report. As you remember, there was a gas leak in building 6. And due to Tom Trevino's efforts, speaking directly with Con Ed, we managed not to shut down the gas lines. Since that gas leak, and since the explosion which occurred earlier on 16th Street, the city of New York has now made an arrangement that Con Ed is not the first responder for gas leaks. This is a devastating blow to any community because the fire department is now in charge. And this is the rule the fire department has. If you have a gas leak, we're shutting down your lines. When you shut down lines on gas, and I don't know if there's going to be one next year or the year after, but whenever there's a gas leak here, we're talking about over $1 million to put the lines back in place, to put all the gas service back. Because when you shut down the lines, you cause the valves to become weak. And when you turn them back on, the valves leak. And either you have two choices. One is to tear a valve apart in every apartment and put a new valve in, which is a lot of money, or to just run, it might be cheaper to run a whole new gas line through the building. But either way, we're talking about $1 million. So what we saved on this gas leak, thank God, we will not be saving on any future gas leak because the fire department does not tolerate any piece. They are ruthless when it comes to this kind of stuff. They will not allow a building to explode. I'm really serious. I'm not joking.
If I could just add to that too, it'd probably take about 6 months of people not having gas in their apartment.
Yeah.
No stove, at least 6 months for that to happen, to get that gas service back on.
So hopefully we will never have a gas leak again, but I'm telling you now, this is not going to be a pretty thing if we do.
Is there any kind of,
Okay.
any kind of preventive maintenance that's possible?
No.
Because you don't, the gas leak occurred outside of our building. It wasn't in our building. It was at the connector to come into the building, so it's an external leak, but it doesn't matter. You have a gas leak? Because that's the first thing Con had said to Tom Trevino. Shut the gas lines down, vacate the building, which is what the fire department will really do. So, but then he talked to them, he said, well, it's outside the building, can't you get over here, can't you set up temporary? They did all that, we were able to get through it, we were fine.
The worst part about it is actually losing pressure within the line. So even when we did the outside repair, they temped out so the whole line maintained pressure while they changed out the section and put everything back in. Once you lose pressure in a gas line, you are almost guaranteed to get leaks once you restore the pressure.
Mike?
Whatever we found in building 6, is that, have you checked that same issue on the other buildings, or was that?
Oh, that was completely local to somebody's stove.
No, but whatever Tom discovered outside, so whatever that issue was, that we replaced, right, so that, whatever.
There are no other gas leaks.
The street one.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That's the only gas leak. It was found because of the smell. That's how you find a gas leak.
But the question, it's your
Did
question,
you check?
have we checked the
Have you
other
checked,
places?
exactly, so this, whatever.
You can't get in the ground. These are outside, this is underground. It's outside,
No,
it's
but
not in the building.
I mean, what alerted us to this is that where the gas line does penetrate into the basement of the building, that's where the smell occurs, and you can smell it, and that was caught during our preventive maintenance checks every month. So that's how we initially noticed there was a problem. We called our own plumber, and then we determined it was actually outside of our building. That's when we got Con Ed in, rather than us making the
And then
repair
what was
ourselves.
replaced, what was the?
The whole line from the street, didn't you see what they did?
A section of pipe coming in.
They tore up from the street, through the curb, into our ground, they dug down. They had and it's not a straight line, actually the line goes down, comes up, comes down. This is a concrete retaining wall underground that you can't see until they dig into it. and that line runs over it, then goes back in the ground, and then comes over to the building, all underground, which they dug up, and then they did the connection, and it was fine.
So then the answer to your question is yes. Monthly rental maintenance.
Thank you,
Gabriel?
Are we able to differentiate between when people think they smell gas and when it's a real leak? Because I know in Building 5, we often think that the laundry room, there's gas leaks, it smells, the laundry room smells like gas. I think those occurrences have been just the dryer. But my question is like, how does that work? Since it's such an expensive procedure if we're wrong. How do we validate? I'm sure after this explosion, a lot of people, like, you know, I myself, we all became very, like, you know, sensitive to the smell of gas.
The first and most important thing is the reporting of it. So once it's reported, it's investigated. There's two methods of investigation. The first one, the easiest one, is an electronic detection, which it sniffs gas and it actually beeps. You know, you can actually put a butane lighter to it and make it beep. So that'll determine the difference between natural gas versus, say, a turpentine smell or something along those lines, another chemical smell. Once you narrow it down, there's actually an old-fashioned bubble method. You spray the pipes and look for the little bubbles, so you know the exact location of where the breach is.
Now, before I begin with the rest of my report, in June, we left the name off the Penn Selection Committee. He's been attending the meetings, which I said he should. It was just an oversight. The name is Alan Mellon. We have to vote him on to make it permanent. So can we do that, please, right now? All in favor? Unanimous? Okay, so Alan Mellon is now, by show of hands, Alan Mellon, unanimous. Alan Mellon is on the Finance Committee. Penn Selection Committee, I'm sorry. Well, that's the Finance Committee. They have to be, it's an approval of, his selection. Okay, so now we're up to committee chairs and liaisons.
Question? Yes. So in your report, at the May meeting, you said that you were going to be directing, I guess, the Elections Committee or a member of a past and present members of the Elections Committee to come up with essentially what happened and the recommendations for the election. You said that report would be ready by the July meeting.
I never said that in open session. Thank you for reporting what went on in closed session. I appreciate that greatly.
That was actually an open session?
No.
It was a closed session all, I mean.
No. No.
So, well, look, can I ask you a question? So is there any
I'm not going to continue this conversation. You want to talk, we'll talk after in closed session, but I'm not going to talk about this now.
Will you have a report for us in closed session?
I'll answer any question you have in closed session. Okay, we're now to committees. Yes, we're going to come to it. Amenities, Detta Al Chair, Lawrence Dodona Liaison. Archives, Andrea Brecker Chair, Jerry Wolbert Liaison. Family Activities, Stephen Letterman Chair, Lawrence Dodona Liaison. Fitness Center, Bernard Zwick Chair, John Carter Liaison. Grounds Committee, Sharon Lockhart Carter Chair, Lawrence Dodona Liaison. Honors and Awards, Detta Al Chair, Yvonne Martin Katsula Liaison. Long Range Planning, Lawrence Dodona Chair. Personnel Committee, John Carter Chair. Policy and House Rules, Doris Bernhardt Chair, Jerry Wolbert Liaison. Security Committee, John Carter Co-Chair, Donald Parsons Co-Chair. And Systems and Structures, Alfred Red, and Liaison Lawrence Dodona. The members of the committees will be attached to the minutes of this meeting. Donna has it in the office. Now, next order of business. Question? Let me keep rolling in. I'll get through this, please. Our bylaws, Article 6, second paragraph reads, the number of persons on the bylaws advisory committee shall be 6. All shall be nominated by a member of the board and approved by a majority vote of the board. All members of the committee shall be stockholders. At least one, but no more than 3 members shall be members of the then current board. The bylaws advisory committee shall elect its own officers and determine its own agenda and its own time and place of meeting. We are now ready. Who's going to make the nomination? John?
Bradley Colvin, Mike Deal, Ila, Thomas, Corsi Vaughn, Doug Simmons, and Margaret Kane.
Leave the last name?
Margaret Kane, K-A-N. You need resist from me?
I think. You just took over. You got a good time. This is my home with All right, we got it.
We got it, we got it.
All right. Okay. Dan?
Question is this, so how many board members have you got?
One. All right?
Can we go through the names again? I'm sorry.
Sure. Now, we'll read them off. Yvonne Martin Katsula, Bradley Colton, Michael Dimon, Douglas Simmons, Ila Thomas, Margaret Kane.
It's all the same, but one from last year, so it's all the same.
There was one new name on. Jeanette.
So your name is Margaret
Kane. Well, we're gonna find out in a second. I just wanna see how many. All right, we're ready to go or vote. All in favor?
Wait. Would like the nomination?
Fine with me?
Nominate Maitri?
How about Dan?
Dan, sorry, Dan.
Instead of more. Two more, right? You nominate
She-
Mike and
In addition to-
nominate Janet.
We're gonna vote. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
vote.
then we have to vote. All six.
I am, you got three here. I'm gonna go this way. Oh, you got two? I can't even count. Okay. We're gonna vote. We'll repeat the names in a second, and we'll vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Andy got one?
Got one.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 votes. I have it right here. This is the extra cards. All right, we're going through the names one more time. Go ahead, Etta.
Yvonne Martin Kotula, Bradley Colton, Michael Dimon, Douglas Simmons, Ila Thomas, Margaret Kane, Maitri Singh, and Dan Lowenstein. One board member. If there only can be six.
Yeah. You can pass it around.
Six total.
You should vote for 6.
Right, so 5, one
You
board
can
and
vote for as
5.
many as you want.
You gotta have a board member on. You have to vote for at least one
She's
board member.
asking, can you vote on your own little ballot for more than one board member?
Yeah, sure, you can do anything you want, but you must vote for one board member.
At least, presumably no more than, oh, no more than 3.
You can't vote more than 3 board members.
They're only nominated.
I was guessing I could vote for up to 6 people.
No, we're talking about board
The
members.
bylaw
Only
only,
talking.
6 people, only maximum 3 board members. You can't have 4, but there are 4 nominations.
Everybody's configuration is.
So I'm like, so the point is there are only 3 non-board members on the slate, is that it?
no.
Yes, that is
No.
correct. There are 3 board members nominated. So you could vote for all 3.
Wait, everybody, stop. Please.
I'm perfectly calm, all right.
No, I want everybody to stop for a second. At least one, but no more than 3 members shall be members of the current board. Okay, so if you're voting, and you have now 9 names. 8 names? 8 names. You must vote at least one of them as a board member, but no more than 3 of them board members.
Right, so I was imagining because it's a committee of 6 people that we're gonna vote for 6, but it's not a committee of 6 people.
You are voting for 6.
Oh, that's what I said, and someone said no, only vote for 3.
No,
so.
It doesn't matter what you vote for, I think it matters what the vote is for. That, the committee construct has to be the one, at least one up to 3 board members, period. It doesn't, I mean, we can. You can
Yeah, but no one ever said that.
Doesn't matter.
Anybody would like to
You're supposed to vote for more than 6 people. Every board member.
What is it, is there any, look, please, this is really not that complicated. You must have 6 names on the ballot. That's easy. You can't have more than 3 names on your votes because otherwise you will be voting for more than the number.
Names, I can have up to
Three
6
board.
names.
Three
board.
The easy thing is only 3 board members were nominated.
This is not that difficult. What are we doing?
I gotta ask a very obvious question.
I understand your.
We're in? This is it? This is the last ballot going in? Okay. All right, Ed.
How many ballots?
You got a chart here to go tick, tick, tick? See, I was worried about you. I knew you would do that.
Because I want you on so bad, you would have 60.
Yeah, I said I voted for her.
The 2 of you, I don't care if you vote, as long as we get the thing right the first time, I don't want to do this more than once. Well, Maitri could, that's what she said she was going to do.
The same person. Overwhelming majority of votes.
I will.
Roland, could you, there's a request from Heather, could you make it just a hair warmer?
It's not just from me.
A hair.
John would like that too, but
That's so bad. Look, I
I'm the only one.
That's what I mean.
This was sitting under the. He's not sitting.
it's okay.
We can do anything while she's coming?
Almost done.
We're almost finished. But let's just finish up what we're doing.
Double check, you know, sometimes.
I don't think she's making a mistake, I think she's got it.
The other, and that person would owe the other. Whoever gets voted on.
Okay. The bylaws advisory committee for this board year is Yvonne Martin Kutzela, Bradley Colton, Michael Dimon, Douglas Simmons, Hyla Thomas, Margaret Kane. Congratulations, you are going to work very hard. No, that's it. That's one kind. This all can go in here. Let's just get rid of these. So we are now up to I'm finished. I did everything. The committee reports, and we're going to start right away with the bylaws committee. So with the committee come to the table that has worked on it right now.
While the committee is coming to the table, I just want you to know I have some revised documents here. So everybody's going to get a packet, including the bylaws committee members. Let me just explain what's in the new packet. I had the explanation, well, let me do the first page, the board of directors recommendation
written by the bylaws committee. And you know that we had lines on the back for everyone to sign at some point, but they were blank, so I had everybody's, all board members' names added alphabetically. And then on the proposed bylaws amendments to eliminate the explanation by the members of the bylaws advisory committee, our names have been added as well to the lines. In
Which
addition,
name, by the which names?
the 5 that have been working on
Right,
it.
the
I mean,
five,
that's
right.
really.
That's it, that's what it should be.
Only the 5 who have been working on it for the last year and 7 years. It feels like 7. We had enough meetings for 7 years. In addition, you will receive the clean copy of the proprietary lease changes. At the time, it was not available to put in the packet, so that is there as well. And then something that actually is not part of this particular, where the committee is going to be the HBA proposal. I had it revised to include estimated printing costs. We'll talk about that later, but that's what's everything that's in the new packet. I do also want to let you know that this material here, accepting the HBA material, is what we can use when we have our town hall meetings and what can go to the shareholders before we have the town hall meeting so they can look everything over. However, in September, I'm not sure, we may have to have a special meeting just to approve the papers. I know, no, it would be 5 minutes to approve all of the papers that are official, which includes the letter to the shareholders. The bylaws committee, the bylaws advisory committee doesn't write that.
No,
It's
the
written by
attorney writes it.
council.
Council.
Right. Also, the notice of meeting written by council. These things will be coordinated between Donna and council. And then this material that we have here, including the 2 letters, the one from the bylaws committee and the one from the board, would be included. And you'll see a facsimile of the proxy envelope and of the proxy, and just what it would look like. Okay, that's actually what we have to approve. And it needs to go to the printer in time to be ready for this to go out, to be voted at the end of October. Remember last month, we gave you a suggested timeline, and the bylaws advisory committee will decide for the town. What am I doing at one time?
I don't know.
We will get together and decide on the dates that are.
You have enough time?
Yeah, I believe so. For us, and then we hope that the entire board will join us at those town hall meetings.
I think we're almost there. You got one? I got one.
So let's do places.
You don't have one? Wait, here it comes. Let me have one more. Anyone have one more for me?
The only thing that's really replaced are the 2 letters. Fast shot. The 2 letters, because, you know, the original letters are blank. These 2 letters that we wrote, we wrote for the board of directors, so we're hoping that you like what you might want to say. And because I know the board would have probably written it themselves. And I think we were asked to do it at the last meeting.
Okay.
So.
Are we ready to begin?
We're ready to begin, and 2 of the members are here this evening who will work on it. So we're ready for any questions, or do you want?
First of all, I want to thank the committee for the incredible work that is sitting before every board member. I took the time to read the entire package. I was really impressed, especially with the letter that you've written for the board and the letter from the bylaws committee. It's fabulous, and of course, all the work that went into making sure that every line, every word, every dot was correctly dealt with. So, thank you so very much for that. Now, if we could look at this package one thing at a time and get approval on it, I think we'll expedite this process, okay? So if we look at the first thing, which is the letter from the board, which has our names on the back. That's the first page, right? Does anyone have a problem with this letter? Is that?
Very, very strong.
Oh,
What is this?
Let me get a small, Andy, go ahead.
Well-being, let's just go with American English rather than British English and hyphenate it, that's all I'm asking.
Where are you talking about?
Third paragraph, second line.
Yeah, I like
Third
it.
paragraph, second line.
That's British English.
Okay.
That's all right.
Maybe it's a typo.
Maybe right.
Can we, you know, I don't have a problem.
Good.
It should be two words.
Should it be two words? I don't
It should
think
be
it's
It's hyphenated, it should be hyphenated.
No, it should be hyphenated if it's an adjective.
But this is not an adjective.
No.
I would hyphenate it. That's what Mary likes to do.
Well, Edda is giving, I think.
Never mind.
We have to decide. Shall we go with two words or hyphenation?
Bradley, I think you should answer this. I don't,
Hyphen is better than not.
Yes.
Okay, so except for that, can we vote this?
The acronym.
Yes.
I lost it again.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. What?
Well, it's not alphabetized by my,
Oh, excuse me.
D apostrophe A, the capital A got me, sorry.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
Next.
Okay.
Okay.
Chi, please.
Yeah, just the third paragraph, since it's from the board, and then I'd like to make it clear. The third paragraph, I think in the middle part of it, it addresses the lower part of the pricing, but it didn't address, now we are like the price, the yellow page every April 1st, the pricing on recent pages, in fact, is higher than the market price. But here, when I
Every year it's higher than the market
I
price.
know, but you see, that's my question. The third paragraph, the fifth line, starting for more than a half decade, sellers, buyers of MHC, and then have functioned on the basis of prices much lower than those printed on the annual distribution, whatever the sales price chart. Then, right after that sentence, it says, in the sale of apartments, our shareholders have operated under open market procedures rather than adhering to the maximum resale price structure. This has led to confusion because of incorrect expectations based on maximum price. In instance, we are at open market. I just think there should be another line after you mentioned the lower than the printed price. Then, but recent years, we are selling, how should I say, the printed price is much higher than the market price.
But that's what it says,
But
Chief.
I know, but it doesn't seem to link. That's my opinion, if you want to go ahead with
But-
it.
It says it right there.
But it says it, Chi, it's right there.
I don't see how to improve it except to add maybe more confusion. But I think it says it right in that sentence, for more than a half decade, sellers, buyers, and MHAC have functioned on the basis of prices much lower. That's why we bolded that, much lower is bolded, than those printed on the annually distributed maximum resale price chart.
That's true.
I think that's it right there in a nutshell. I really don't want to go through any deep analysis and say, and work out the whole story, because it also had, I think that sentence in itself is very clear about how the prices are much lower, because that's exactly what it says. And if we go into very deep analysis, we will have another page of, additional information, and we really just wanted to make it very succinct and to the point, and we worked very hard at doing that. There was a lot that we worked at actually cutting down and making sure, and to ensure that when people read it, it's reader-friendly, it's simple, it's clear, and it does tell the whole story. Now, I don't know if everybody thinks it doesn't, then you maybe want to do something different.
No, so now I understand, for half a decade. So, okay, that's like for the past 5 years or something, right?
For more than half a
Yeah,
decade.
for more than half a decade,
It's more than 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, but that, I think, I was thinking because our yellow price, maximum price before the 5 years, it was where always most, apartments, like before 2006, right? Is that 20? to own. Yeah, and it never changed before. Every apartment sold is at maximum price printed on the yellow sheet. But just recent years, we have used a half decade, half century, so that's fine. If you want to leave it as it is, that's fine.
Okay, so now
If you
we
want 5 years,
have a
that's
clear
better.
understanding of the document. I'd like to vote this up, if that's okay. Shall I go to a vote?
Excuse me, can we vote on every page?
No, we're gonna vote on each, the two
document.
most important documents. The rest is understood what it does. We'll review it, but I don't know if we have to vote on it, but we'll review it. These two documents have to be voted on.
Yeah, the two documents the board should approve that they're going to sign it. The other one actually.
What we're voting,
sign it.
yeah, here's what we're voting on. We're voting that this document is accurate, that we want it to be, this letter is what we want to present to the shareholders. Everyone clear on this? So if we vote yes, I'm gonna pass this one around, we're gonna put our signatures on the back. There will be an editorial change on the front to well-B, but otherwise, this will be the document. Okay?
Okay,
Can
Oh,
sorry, I have a question. So, freelance, are you said a lot, so it's no cash money. So this is what we're voting on now.
well, I think.
What will the shareholders receive?
And everything, we should vote on everything that's here, but we
Right.
don't have to go page by page through the red line and the clean, because you've already had it to read with. But everything that's here is what will go to the shareholders, in time for the town hall meeting.
So we are
which will be
voting on
the
this as well.
second.
Basically,
Yes.
by signing this, we're approving all of these documents.
no,
No,
wait.
you're approving this
Yes,
letter.
Wait.
that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Let's understand.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote this document.
Yeah.
We say yes, we'll sign this document. Then we'll deal with this document. This is the document that explains exactly what was done and is reflected in the line copies. Okay? We'll vote this document. Then they can sign their names to that document. Then we deal with voting the rest of this as indicated, which is reflected in this document. The bylaws committee document are all the changes in here that I think you've already seen because you've had it since Friday night. I assume everybody read
The only thing
this.
you didn't have was the clean copy, but it's the same thing, except it's clean of the proprietary lease. So you just need to add that to those documents when we get to it.
All right? So I would like to know, by show of hands, do we have unanimous approval on this document? Please raise your hand. We have unanimous approval. I will sign here, like John Hancock did, and then you may all join me.
We're really gonna sign this now?
Right now, then it goes to Donna, and then she can do with it exactly.
Is that my decent signature in there?
Let me see your ID.
We put your name underneath where you're signing, so we know it's you, Dan. That's the only reason. Okay, so now, as this goes around the room, we are now up to the second document that we are approving. Now, this document reflects, when you break it down, it not only is well-written and explains what we're talking about from the bylaws committee perspective to the board and to the shareholders, it also, in every numbered paragraph, tells you where these changes are taking place. Whether it's in the bylaws, section 59 as in number 1, or the proprietary lease, paragraph 5, article 8. So this is a defining document of what is actually being changed.
Bradley or Mike,
This-
do you want to add anything?
If I just may finish this one thing. There were no changes in this document from what was in the packet, except for the signatories at the bottom, the names being printed.
Right.
So, Bradley, she said that you wanted to speak, so I'm
I said, do you have anything to say?
I can be compelled to speak, and I will.
All right. Does anyone?
I'd love to field questions. but
Yeah, okay,
I-
Andy.
So,
What is with reserve?
On page
That's
36.
Page 36.
Which one you looking at now? The one
Page
handed out
36.
tonight?
this is not the letter. This is the actual.
Oh, I forgot, I'm sorry, I got it.
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry, I forgot there were two pieces of coverage.
All right, so We are now looking at this to approve this for the bylaws committee to sign off on. Does anyone have a problem with what is in this letter? Any grammatical changes that we'd like to mention?
I didn't like married, but I don't care. It's
Married or married?
Married, I didn't understand why, I mean, I'm not married, and I have joint tenants. But anyway, it seems fine, like,
Okay.
I couldn't
Thank
think of
you.
a better word anyway.
All right. Any real changes that anything thinks they have to have? All right. Can we have?
I have one. I just have one.
This
For
goes.
the second one, this is 2 page, number 3, page 2, number 3. And then there's A, B, the B, I just want to make it clear. It says that provided that.
I'm sorry, Chi, I lost you.
Page 2 of
Go ahead.
the.
Yes, I got you. Now, where are we?
Number 3.
Item 3.
And then the small b, is not an employee of the corporation. I couldn't find where, but I remember, maybe I remembered wrong. Was there a place it says that not only an employee, but a former employee?
I don't believe
No,
this is.
if you're not an employee,
Just
you're not a.
current employee.
Once you're,
right?
yeah, that's right. You can't be a
Okay.
current employee. So if you're not an employee, you're not an employee. It's really that simple. Okay. So, having this document, knowing what it says, having had time to read it and understand it, can we take a vote and say we approve of this document? Yes? All in favor? Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Maitri. Let's hold the vote for a second. Yes,
So my
Maitri?
general comment about this is that, so I think it kind of makes sense to us as we read it like 5 times. I think most folks will not. And I'm wondering if it's possible to give some kind of examples, or I don't know what's the right way to do it, but I think there's a lot of text in here. Wait, let me finish. There's a lot of text in here, and I think I'm afraid that if the point is to get this approved, because I get what you're referring to, and I think once someone's actually.
But, actually, this is the map, the guide, to look through this. That's really all it is. You've got to look, because, most people, what will happen, I think, is this is the direct effect. Oh, you're going back to the other one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who they.
What were you?
Maitri?
What
I am
think
confused.
The point
What
I'm
did you
trying to
think you
make is
did?
that we have to translate this to people so that they get what we're talking about, because I think
Which one?
There's a letter from the board. That's the first thing we sign.
Right.
This letter is from the bylaws committee that will go from the board to everyone, but this letter is your map to the 2 documents that are the most important documents to the corporation.
Maitri, we did it separately because we felt that really the bylaws committee, the bylaws advisory committee, actually went through the documents and we could actually say, this is what it is, this is where it is, this is what it is now, and this is what it will be in the
I got you.
future. And that would be separate from what the board had to say, which was laying, giving a very broad idea of what was to come. And then the bylaws one is really just to specifically explain, keeping the 2 separate to make it clearer for the shareholders rather than have one big document with everybody signing it. Am I correct? Would you like to add to that? Because you look like you do.
I just missed some of that to the side conversation. I apologize. But were you discussing what the need for 2 documents as opposed to one merge? I think the documents have a fundamentally different tone, which reflects who's signing them.
Right.
And to me, the board's document is more persuasive in nature, and the bylaw advisory committees is more descriptive.
That's true.
And that was an important element in crafting and assigning the documents to the parties.
Right. Thank you.
All right.
So
Go ahead, Dan.
I want to just understand what you're saying. So is it that the bylaws committee document is not that we need to kind of raise it up a level? Or, that this is too detailed also? Might be. Is that it? Because I would, or is it something else?
I understood it differently, that the board letter should have been, that it could be restricted. Am I wrong?
I think that would, yeah, that would, yeah, that needs to be a little bit more, precise. I think it's hard, I'm just thinking of like the average reader and how, and I guess it is there.
Well, here's the thing, okay.
Well, you cut.
So I'm just trying to figure out like how people would perceive this and if the goal is to really, I mean, it suggests that there's part of it because it just has to, but I'm just trying to figure out if the letter from the board, whether there's a way to, because I think we're talking about something that's not right, that wouldn't be very obvious.
So maybe, I see what your point, I mean, you could do, I mean, you have seven different positions here.
7 sections.
7 sections. I mean, you know, in a sense, this is going together, right?
If you try to combine, let me,
Hold on a second, okay? Because I think what you might be able to do is just take your headers and say in summary, you will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not the full graphs, just the headlines. Please see the attached from the bylaws committee, and that'll link it.
I'm sorry, you're saying in the board document.
Board document.
Take the headers from the bylaws document.
But then you're having two letters, I mean, you're having a letter refer to a letter refer to a, I think,
That's right.
in my
That's
opinion,
very
it
bad.
would
No,
be
it's
more
not.
confusing
Well,
than
that's not-
anything, but if the board wants to do it, then I think you need to work
I
on
have
it
to
and
tell-
then send it back to us and we'll.
I have to tell you something. If you do that, you will create more confusion than understanding. You need a document that comes from the board that says this is a very important thing, this is why we're doing it. But you need another document that explains the roadmap that we're doing. And it should be a separate document that you can hold up, you can hand out to people, that you can say, this will help guide you. Here's where you should look for these parts. Here's where it is in the old document. Here's where it is in the new document. This is what it's going to be. If you try to combine this stuff into one letter and refer back and forth between the two, this is not good. This will be very bad, very bad. You're talking about educating people, and that will not be good education. First Bradley, then Jerry.
For what it's worth, I think cross-referential between two covers is a troubling idea in that they inevitably can be separated, and when people don't have something that's a closed loop but have to refer to other things, that breeds anxiety, I think, in my mind. But I wanted to, I felt like you guys were maybe talking past each other. When you said bring it up, you meant not so much in the weeds, but elevate a general sense. Is that my understanding? Did I get that right?
I was talking more about, I mean, this is a good summary of the dense document, but I think there's a way you can kind of bring this up. I mean, maybe you can put your headers up here.
I'm just not sure I understand bring this up.
No, just to, no, it's about kind of like, just like creating almost like a,
Bullets.
bullets, yeah, just the bullets up front, you know.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
And then, was that what you were saying also? Okay.
All right, now I am, this is not getting us anywhere because Maitri understands. I think we should focus, but do you want to say something, Michael, or
The
can we
only
just?
thing I was going to say is that the document that the board has signed is really a statement of why. The document that the bylaws advisory committee is signing is a statement of why. And then, of course, you can go deeper into the actual changes to the bylaws. So it takes you through it step by step. Here's what we want to do and why, and here's what we're going to do.
Right.
And now here's the real document.
And by the way, once we vote this, even though they're putting their signatures on here, this becomes our document. This is a board document that we will use at our town hall meetings, that we will use to put in the packet, that we will use to explain what they're voting on. That's what this document is. So, yes, sir.
I wish I would have noticed this earlier. This is rather informal, but Morningside Gardens, it's like, why would we use some legal language like MHHC at the very end? Morningside Gardens bylaws, it's rather informal.
Because that's and not MHHC bylaws advisory.
I mean,
Like
we're
Morningside
certainly not the Morningside Gardens Board of Directors.
No, but they are Morningside Gardens Bylaws Advisory Committee.
I just voted for
Morningside
all of
Gardens,
that.
the name Morningside Gardens has
You know what,
has a
that's
very
getting
long.
no traction.
No, I just
Good.
wanted to say that Morningside Gardens, for those of us who've been living here for a long time, means a lot. It means a lot to people who have lived here for a long time. I can tell you as somebody who's lived here for a long time, and they call it Morningside, and they call it MHHC, it's cold and it's missing something that people who have really been here a long time and moved in, and we never called it MHHC. We called it Morningside Gardens. I think it really touches just a different chord there. And, you know, that's all it really was.
Andy, on the
Wait,
cover.
1 second, please. Jerry?
Notwithstanding, I think the way that this is set up is really good actually, because I mean, anybody who's gonna get this packet realizes that they have a lot of things to do. And I think, you know, you're gonna rip it open, you're gonna look at it, and the first thing they're gonna do is read the letter from us, which is gonna say, please vote for this. And then they're gonna say, well, I don't have time to read this all now. And then they're gonna sit down with this letter, and then they're gonna go in and cross-reference back and forth to the paper. But I think it's well set up, and I'm prepared to vote for it.
Okay. So, Gabe, I'm sorry, Gabe, I
Sorry,
sorry, I apologize.
No, it's fine, sorry to interrupt. No, I just wanted to say to Andy's point, I mean, it does help that on the cover of the letter is Morningside Heights Housing Corporation with the address, so it isn't so kind of,
It's all right. Thank you.
All right.
For that.
So, we are,
Sorry.
Chief, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just, the number 4 here, the exemptions from impacts for trust. I know it explains that we don't have a trust right now, but I believe in the near future probably will allow certain kind of trust.
Well, that's why we're putting the
That's
language
Yeah,
in, Chief.
right. That, my question is, when we allow the trust to be in the apartment, is that change a bylaws change or house rules
House rules.
change?
It's
Yeah,
a house
that's
rules
what I
change.
If
read.
you, first let me explain. If we don't change it here,
Mhm.
we don't change it anywhere.
Right.
But if we change it here, then the corporation through its house rules will allow trusts. Okay?
So my point is, maybe you can add one sentence here so that people know that when we set up the trust issue.
It says it.
Is a
It
house
says it.
rule issue.
No, at present call policy does not allow transfers to
Right,
trusted.
yeah.
All these provisions would go into effect only if and when the board of directors
Allows
allows
transfers
transfers
to
to trusts. The only
It says
thing we
it already.
control, the
Wait,
only.
You don't have to say through what?
Because people will
You don't have to
ask,
say through what.
will say, yeah, the board of directors can approve, but they will ask whether it's a bylaw change or a house rule change.
The-
It's better to just say which
Chief,
is a house.
Chief, hang on one second,
Chief,
please.
policy.
The bylaws, the board cannot change a bylaw.
Yeah.
Only
So
only
that's
shareholders
clear.
can.
It can't-
So if no one can change the bylaws except the shareholders, the only thing we can change is house rules.
That's it.
There's nothing to
Only
explain.
shareholders change bylaws, and so that, it says right there, the board of directors can do it. It doesn't say the board of directors will change the bylaw.
But it will
It says
change,
this will
change the
allow.
house rules. So
Yes, but I
house
don't-
rule will be changed. So just add a few words there, so people know that's a house rule change. The board of
I don't
directors
think
passed
that
so
we
many
need to.
motions,
I
they
don't
can
think-
approve everything. But
Chief-
this is a house rule change.
Chief, I don't think we need to put it
Very
in this
clear.
document and start re-editing editing this document for that one point, because that's why we're having town hall meetings, so that we can answer those questions. And there will be probably something
And
distributed
it's,
after.
and it's not something we haven't said before. We've said it at the previous town hall meetings, that if the corporation approves the change, if the shareholders approve the change in the bylaws to add trusts, the house rules will be changed to allow trusts. That's what the board of directors intends to do.
The board, in fact, has already approved these points. All we did was fine tune it by adding the references, but if you remember, this has already been approved, except now that it's in the letter form, and it needs the members' signatures.
this is really taking too long, but Andy, go ahead.
So, I don't understand why we can't add 5 words to this. I think it's
Yeah.
a perfectly good thing, and not everyone understands how the rules are made, where the rules are, not everyone goes to town halls. So why not just add before allows, revises the house rules to allow? It's
That's
5 words.
it, yeah.
You preemptively.
What's the
Very
problem?
clear.
What's the problem?
So, no, that would be incorrect, that would be incorrect.
Transfers to trust.
No,
It's the
no.
board of directors
No,
that
that would
allows
be,
the
that
house
would be,
rules.
it's the board of
If you want
directors
to be technical, it's the board of
allows
directors.
transfers to trust
The house rules have.
when
to be
it
approved by the board of
changes the
directors.
house rules.
When the board of directors revises the house rules to allow transfers to trust, what's wrong with that?
The board of directors doesn't revise the house rules.
It changes the house rules.
Who revises the house
The
rules?
house rules committee revises it, they
So
vote
we vote on that.
on
That's not true, we
motions.
vote on that.
I mean, you're being very technical.
So are you.
Right,
That's exactly what it is.
correct.
We're talking semantics.
All right, let's understand. The language would be, Jerry, just so we're clear, so I want to understand what the language is. If we were to add these words, and when the directors, the board of directors allows,
Revises the house rules to allow transfers to trust.
when the board of directors revises, I know, I'm gonna get them, I just want to get this language in my head.
To allow.
How about these provisions to go into effect only if in writing, the board of directors allows transfers to trust by amending the house rules.
That's good.
That's fine, that's
That's
better.
That's good.
By amending the house
Thank
rules.
you.
The best words around.
By amending the house rules, so take that out. Thank you. Bradley, will you say it one more time, please, loudly?
At the very, right after the word trusts, no, after the end of the sentence, before the parens
Yeah.
closes, add the following words, quote, by amending the house rules,
Okay,
The house rules.
period.
That makes sense.
end parentheses.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Next about many times.
All right.
That's clear.
We now have a revised document with 4 words added. 5 words, oh, Jesus. 5 words added. I'm gonna start really being, I'm gonna use the board, start throwing beans across. All right, let's do this. We're voting on this document now with the change of these 5 words that go before the close of parenthesis and right after the word trusts. Okay? All in favor? It is unanimous. When this change is made, the bylaws committee will sign it. Okay? Yvonne, you okay with that? Well, they can sign it tonight and then just change.
Well, 3 of us can sign it tonight.
Right, because I don't think it's gonna change the paragraph, the
No, we
pagination.
can sign another way.
Yeah.
The document that you guys signed is going to be changed, but
Only
was it on the same
well,
page?
they-
No, it's not.
a separate page.
Perfect. And you know what? They can photograph the pictures and slap them on. All right. Now, so now,
I don't want it, but I have the word.
Oh, well then let me.
By amending the
yeah,
house rules.
so now we have the proposed, we have the clean proprietary, we have the double underline and strike through proprietary, we have the bylaws, delete the bylaws that are double underlined and strike through, and we have a clean bylaws. I believe I have this correct. So, knowing that these copies reflect accurately the documents that we have just approved, may we vote these up? Now,
Just the clean one.
don't we have to vote up both the percent, are we gonna present both the double underline? Yes, yes.
You should present the red line and the.
Wait, I think I have, I don't know, grammatical or some other
No, I have a
thing.
question, page 36,
Oh.
what is reserved, reserved,
Oh.
reserved, reserved?
On which document, now tell us the document.
Page 36.
Of which cover sheet?
Red line bylaws.
Now, these are the fresh ones.
Clean bylaws,
I don't know what you wanna call them.
clean bylaws.
Clean bylaws, clean bylaws.
The clean bylaws. Page 36, Andy?
Yeah.
Here it says what?
Let's see what the heck it
I
says.
didn't read the whole thing, like, I'm sure Larry read all of it, but I just skimmed them.
Well, you're much better skimming than I'm reading, that's why. I didn't even worry about this, but go ahead.
the term reserve refers to paragraph numbering that will not be used. This was on advice of counsel. He preferred to keep it that way rather than change the entire, or a large portion of the numbering scheme.
So these are clauses that have been omitted now, is that it? Is that
No,
what
they are actually blank clauses. Have you ever seen a document where it says, this page is intentionally blank? Those paragraphs are intentionally blank. Still good?
No, what, wait, so this is.
So this is another word for saying intentionally left blank.
That's exactly correct.
Keep the numbering.
Our council wants
Oh,
to
to make
keep
it
it.
match.
Yes.
All right, clear.
So if you got rid of those, the numbering would change.
On the other 100.
Okay, well, by the way, when we get done with this thing, I have been told that our bylaws are the only bylaws in the world that haven't been like finalized, printed in years, and we have no way of indexing this document. You cannot find clauses in here. You have to read blue sheets of paper. So after the next vote in February, we will have to print this document with all the stuff in it, so that we have clean things to give out to everybody, including ourselves.
Yeah.
And with index, it'll have the index, so you can look up a topic and find it, because this is a horror.
And that assumes, Larry, that will be a straightforward project.
No, I'm talking about, I'm sorry, this is Morningside. There's nothing straightforward in Morningside. Okay. All right, so we are now ready to vote up those 4 documents: proprietary clean, proprietary red, bylaws clean, bylaws red. Okay? We're ready? All in favor? It is unanimous. We have done this. Now we're up to the next piece of business.
Thank you.
Are we out of here?
No, well, yeah, I think for you.
I think they can.
Yeah, you're done, because now we're dealing with the important part of the night, money.
Well, there's an edit in each document.
Oh, you mean these 2? Yes, I will give them to Donna, and she will just do the edits for us. We don't. And then we have to sign ours. We could sign it tonight, but then I just have to file it down.
You should give us a new review.
Because it's on the, well, only because it's on a separate page, the signature. But we're not all here. We'll do it, we'll have a meeting and.
All right.
Now there you go. That was easy. Thank you, Jeff. Listen, I just want to say, thank you very much.
I don't have the new.
You can't imagine how much work it was.
The new one, the one that has. Well, no, there's 2 of them today. Oh, this is the one. Okay, this is there. No, this is not. Oh, no, here it is. We're posted you now. Okay. I'm getting loose in my office here. All right, folks. Yvonne, we're now up to Honest Ballot Association.
Yeah, well, you know, we're
Which
going
one?
to need to use ballot. Okay, the one.
Now,
I
what are
just
we
gave
looking
you.
at now? Is this the one we're looking at, the
The one
3-page
that
one?
was attached, yes.
That has, the last page is the proxy, the facsimile proxy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're-
But this is actually
Yes.
just, you know, an update.
One second,
updated proposal.
one second. Everybody have the 3-page home, Honest Ballot Association document? The 3-pager? Yeah, it was in that packet. That's why. It wasn't in mine, that's why.
You did not think.
All right, John, okay. It was just in the package. It's 3-page, I hope it's 3 pages, because that's all I have.
Should be 3 pages.
All right. The reason why you have a new one, I believe, is because it did not have enough information in the original as to what the cost would be. No. The new one, the electronic was a complete electronic, which we were never gonna get to do. This is the 3-pager, Dan, the 3-pager. You need a 3-pager.
It was in the new packet.
The original one had the electronic, right, and then it had the paper. But the new just the paper. It's 3 pages long.
Yeah.
It's just about paper because I was question about that one in particular. Since it was about paper,
You don't have it, Dan?
do you have it?
Does anyone have an extra for Dan, please?
Here.
It's important Dan has it. We all have to have it.
It has the proxy of the
Gabe, you're missing it too? Gabe,
It
okay?
was embedded in that package.
Too many papers, right?
All right, Yvonne, so proceed.
Okay, so the second one, I think, you know, it was very interesting to get a price for the electronic one, but I think with this particular vote, we don't want to try something new. But the problem with the paper one was that I wasn't sure if that price included printing, which they would have to do, and also postage. So I asked Donna to ask Linda to give us at least an estimated, the best she can do is an estimated price. So the price you see on page 2, the fees, as described, okay, that includes the printing and postage, but I must say that she could only give us an estimate because we don't know how many pages it will actually be. So this estimate would be for printing of not too many pages. You know, what do you say to someone? So the printing will be more because we'll have more pages. We have a lot of things to print. And of course, that means that postage would probably be higher because it's going to be more. This is estimated at 1 ounce per envelope. So that's just a caveat that this is not written in stone because we don't even know how many pages we're going to have and what it'll weigh. But at least we have a starting point as to how much it will cost.
But they're kind of in the ballpark, at $2.35 an envelope. I think they're pretty close to where it's gotta be. That's based on previous stuff. But if you also notice, if I can draw your attention, they do say that on the meeting day, they're gonna supply 2 electronic voting machines. You notice that?
Yeah.
It's not, but it's on the meeting day. In other words, this room is the meeting room, and there'll be 2 machines here, so anybody who wants to vote will vote on the machine. Unless we choose to tell them that we want no voting machines at all and do everything paper. That's up to us, we have to decide. It'll change the price, it may go down because we're not using machines. Yes, Jerry?
What I was gonna ask is, did she say it was like $600 a machine for the day? She did. So, if it's $600 a machine for the day,
Right. But we could
Yeah.
approve this, and that we don't want machines, but we want the rest of the service. And then we're ready to go, because come September, I think we have to get this all done, starting like the first week. Well, we'll get a better idea from Donna, but I think it's got, don't forget, the attorney has to deal with the writing of the back 2 pages and whatever else has to go out. That all has to be done. So it'll be done over the summer. By the time we come back, everything should be ready and go out.
Yeah.
Andy, I'm sorry.
I think we need it ready before the next meeting, sorry.
I agree that we don't have to pay, I don't personally like machines, I spend all my days in front of computers, so I would rather piece of paper, and certainly, I don't pay $1,200 for machines that I didn't want in the first place, so I support Jerry on that. The other thing is, okay, the price went way up, and that's because of the mailing,
Yeah, mailing and printing.
But there's another thing here which caught my attention the first time, which was $250 per signature verification, which was, you know, if you had 500 votes, that was $1,250. What happened to that?
That should be in
I
here.
don't see it anymore.
They should have put it in
I
here.
don't see it.
wouldn't it be included in the price?
I don't know.
It's just a-
It's weird how it was, and we were called out as like this optional thing that we're gonna have to pay above, and now it's not even there. And I would have thought it
Well,
would be,
let's
here
look-
are the services we are providing
It
for this
just-
amount of money.
yeah.
My sense of that was that they were expecting that the first option, the electronic one, was gonna be mostly electronic. I think they were wrong. And expecting a small number that would actually, that they actually had to verify. My expectation is that they're saying that they're all gonna have to be verified because they're all gonna be.
But they're not saying it, they're implying it, but who likes to sign
Well,
contracts?
that needs to be, that needs to be
To
clarified.
flesh it out.
Yeah, well, that needs to be clarified.
I would have thought that was included in the 56.
Well, all right, let's figure this out. Let's do this. We have 982 apartments, 982 shareholders, and we're gonna need signature verification. $2,500?
But 1,000 people aren't gonna vote, we're lucky if we get 500.
But
It's
Did you
probably
bring
the
this up?
cost of the
All right, so let's look at this in terms of what they did here. But they take $1,200 off because we're not gonna use the machines. 1,200 from 5690 is 4,490, right? 4,490? So 4,490, $2,500 for signature check, signature verification is 6,990.
That's the worst case.
It's gotta be $7,000.
Right.
But you have to allow for that if you do get that. So you're assuming that you will have $7,000 in costs. Yes, Tim?
Why do we do a cap on this? So we're gonna have one signature verification, we're not gonna want the video stuff. I mean, we don't put our other contracts out. Why don't we just pass this as, we can have a discussion about that, what they're gonna provide, and not provide, but as for the cost, it's, up to whatever.
Oh, no, I'm not posting it. I just want to give you an idea of what the actual price will be when it's done, Dan.
It's roughly about,
$7,000, which is about what it should be.
Approve it up to $7,499.99.
I would approve it up to $8,000.
Although I do hate telegraphing that, in our open session.
Oh, $7,995. All right. Okay, yeah,
The
but,
first one?
all right, so we're gonna do it for how much?
Subject to our rule.
7,499? Okay.
Or,
So the motion would be, who's making this motion, or shall we try to craft it?
Jerry makes it.
Jerry, you wanna make a motion?
Sure, move that we, do you not want a cost in it? I mean, they're not gonna be here.
The point was that, we do this a lot, and we sort of approve up to an amount, these are open session minutes that anybody can see. And we're sort of like telegraphing our
How much our seal?
Well, nobody's gonna see this,
Okay, what we
they're not gonna
should do
see
is
this
send
right
this
away.
back
She's not gonna see
to
it.
It might be out of date.
We'll nail this down before the flash report comes out.
What do you think?
So what's the number we're looking at?
7,500.
Okay.
Are we approving a contract with HPA?
No, we're approving the board spend up to $7,500 to engage Home Honest Ballot Association to perform the shareholder vote.
We've had this specifically kind of tied in, I think, to the bylaws. Because we are affirmatively acting on our responsibility, on our authority to really, to have a third-party vendor perform the Bill County duty for a bylaws election.
Right, so it's per bylaw. What's the number of that bylaw that you quote that says that we have to go to outside?
Wow, as per our bylaws,
No, I think he was referring to the bylaw that says we are allowed to go to outside.
That's the one, yeah, not the money.
That's not talking about $7,500.
That's
That's
stated in
totally
the
different
bylaws,
bylaw.
but we don't know, I don't know my bylaws wrong. That's stated.
You can do it this way. You can put the word by, as stated in bylaw, whatever, leave it blank, we'll fill it in. We know what we're talking about. And we can vote this up. Then what we tell them, Yvonne, what we'll have Donna tell them is, we do not want machines. And we want to know about the signature certification. They have to send us a new contract with those two things changed.
Yeah.
No machines, all paper, signature certification. Right, Dan? That's what we want, correct?
Signature verification should be in there.
Right.
No machine.
All paper, no machines, signature verification.
I would like to know what they do with my check.
They send it to you, Dan. You know, seriously.
It's one thing to say,
Up to an amount.
I'd like to know their policy on this.
I think they could, I think she said it the last time, but we can get it said again.
Yeah, we may want to, because I think, if they don't get a dozen signatures that are verified, that are truly,
There's too much talk.
We're out of here right now. Hang on.
The question is like, how, I mean, unless somebody really is committing fraud here, and it's probably not the case, there could be a case where somebody's signature looks very much different from what they have on file. And if they say this is very different, I'm rejecting this, it's disenfranchising their vote.
I believe there's an appeal process that people, I think, part of this, and we'll check this out. But I believe when they reject it, when this company rejects it, then we all have a right to say, you know, let's get in touch with the shareholder and bring him down.
That would be obvious.
And that's what we'll do. I don't, Yvonne, just so you know, that's a very good point Dan said. If there's a problem with the signature, when they verify it, that they can't, that basically no one really changes their signature that much. There's certain identifiable pieces of their signatures always evident. But if they rejected a proxy because of a signature, we have to be given the opportunity to bring the shareholder. They have to tell us which one they're rejecting. We have to get in touch with that shareholder, and we have to have that shareholder verify that that's their ballot. Because we don't want to lose signatures in this election. We don't want to lose any proxies.
You don't want to lose signatures or votes in any election.
No, but in this election, more importantly than any other election, this is a 51% of all shareholder
In other
votes.
elections, it might be the difference between one candidate and another. You don't want to have
Okay,
a
we want to
question
be able,
election.
what we're saying, we want to be able to bring in the shareholder.
Right.
verify.
Their signature.
That doesn't have to be in the motion.
No, but that's a
No,
good
it's
discussion
enough
with
to-
them.
It's enough for them.
All right? So,
Jerry was gonna read
So
it.
how about, that the board of directors approve engaging Honest Ballot for a cost up to $7,500 to admit.
7,450.
how about 7,495?
Oh, come on.
99.
Okay.
To administer MHHC bylaws amendment vote as per MHHC bylaw plan.
Right. And we'll get that from, all right? We're good? Is there a mover?
Jerry was.
Jerry moved it. Is there a seconder? I'm sorry. Seconder, James?
By the way,
Okay.
section 54 of the bylaws. if you-
There it is, section 54. We're in great shape.
Article 7, section.
Article 7, section 54, Jerry. Article 7, section 54. Okay? We got the motion. We're ready to go. Don will be very busy. She's going to have a heck of a next 7 weeks here, but that'll be great. All in favor? It is unanimous. Oh, I'm sorry. John, we want to redo this vote. That we're engaging on this ballot. Just read that motion one more time. I would like to have the unanimous vote.
That the board of directors approve engaging Honest Ballot for a cost up to $7,499 to administer MHHC bylaws amendment vote as per MHHC bylaw Article 7, Section 54.
Okay? Let's vote. All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, everybody voted. We voted on every single document. So the board is unanimous in its approval of moving forward on open market and its approval of all the changes as directed in the guide letter from the Bylaws Advisory Committee. This is a great moment. Now all we have to do is get out the vote. That should be a miracle all by itself. But Dan has promised to be out there knocking on doors and putting those votes in. And so I think we'll be very successful. All right? So now we are up to the tenant, can we move? Tenant selection, yeah, okay. Tenant selection committee, would the chair please come forward? This is in your packet. Tenant selection is in your packet. The motions. There are three motions. No, there's three motions altogether. There's 1, 2, 3. That's what it says on my paper.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Don't confuse me. You have a different paper? This is my paper. Good evening, Tova. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay,
Folks, we're on a whole new topic.
okay.
This document is actually resulting from the fact that we are now facing a whole new marketplace than we faced in like 2009 and 2010 when some of those house rules were passed. Okay? At that time, the market collapsed. We are now apartments were not selling. The board at the time passed an amendment to the house rule allowing for apartments on the market to be sublet. The time, unfortunately, they did not put a timeline on it at the time. I wish they did, then we'd not have to deal with it today. Today, it's a whole different story. The market is better, apartments sell. We actually do not have too many apartments in the market now without any offers. And we found that by allowing apartments on the market to be sublet, we are basically shooting ourselves. Because what's happening is I've seen some of those apartments that were sold at, I would say, at least 20% less than comparable apartments were selling at that time. And I visited those apartments. Those sublet were a mess. I walked in there and I said, gee, I would not pay $50,000 for this apartment. Okay? We should eliminate all those. That's why the committee feels that we should amend Section 33 and eliminate all parts that allow for subletting an apartment that is on the market.
All right, so let's deal with one resolution at a time. The first motion says, Section C. TSC recommends to the Board of Directors that those...
This is, okay, no, this is, okay. The first section is a little twist there, okay? Right now, we do not allow, you have to live here for a year before you can sublet. We recommend 2 years. And here again, there is something new to the market. And I've been on this tenant selection committee in the 1990s, in the 2000s, and I'm the third time there. There is a whole new phenomenon. There are people with cash that do not get any interest in the bank. We are low price, relatively speaking. We are sitting in a place where there are a lot of people that want to rent because of Columbia. You can get an incredible high rental here. You can get close to $3,000 for a one-bedroom apartment here. Okay? We have seen people that actually bought an apartment here, basically for renting them. And we have, I mean, I cannot say it in open session, but we have seen that. So what we recommend is to change it from 1 year to 2 years. So someone that really wants to buy here for business realizes the risk is higher. And on top of it, we need to remember, Morningside Garden was constructed as a housing for middle class, not for commercialization. The idea was to keep middle class people in the city. This is what we are all about.
Okay, so holding on that, we're looking at a motion from the committee to change it from 1 year to 2 years. That's the first motion.
That's all.
Any questions?
Somebody needs to move it from the board.
No? Oh, I'm sorry, yes, it has to be moved from the board. Go ahead. Yvonne moves it. But you don't need a second because it comes from the committee. Okay, thank you, Ed. All right, so it's before us. So this is the first motion.
Right.
Any discussion? You're changing it from 1 year to 2 years. Very simple, straightforward. Okay? All in favor? Wait, I'm sorry. Hold it.
One first.
Gee, just what I take a lot of time repeating myself to get to the vote, and then as I go to the vote, you raise your hand. Go ahead, please.
In fact, it's not a question because we need to let the shareholders know more clearly. It is, we are changing it from 1 year to 2 years because after the shareholders subletted, allowed subletting, and then the corporation right now, the house rules is that you have to wait for 2 years before the same shareholder can sublet again. So that's why we changed it from, at the beginning, I don't know when this current house rules made. It was, at the beginning, it's 1 year. After 1 year, you stay here, and then you can sublet for 2 years. But after the 2 years, the shareholder has to come back for 2 years before subletting again. So now we are saying that at the beginning, when the new shareholders bought in, they should stay for 2 years and then sublet for maybe 2 years or 1 year, it's up to them. And then it's really the same 2 years requirement. But that's a house rules change, right?
Jerry?
Yeah.
So what do you
I'm
think?
sorry, so what you're saying is you have to tell people?
No, I'm just letting people know clearly because they don't have the document.
Right, well, okay,
So now we're not only educating ourselves, we're educating everybody who's in this room?
Of course, yeah, because you have to have people know the context.
Well, I mean, what she's making a very good point. That we tell people you need to live only 1 year and you can sublet for 2. But then if you come back, you have to live at least 2 more years before you can sublet again, which kind of makes no sense.
Right.
I mean, she's making a very good point. Thank you, Chief.
All right. So I think we all understand it. I would like to go to,
I have a question. I just think that the way this is written, I mean, I think to the point of clarification, nobody's gonna know that it's 1 year now unless they really know it.
That's the thing.
Okay, so, I mean, really what this is, the motion should be to amend the House Rules Section C to change the number of years shareholder must be in the gardens from 1 year to 2.
Yeah.
we accept that. I don't think it's a problem. Okay, so repeat it, Dan?
So, move that House Rule 33, Section C be amended to change the number of years that a shareholder must,
I think
You said it simpler the first time.
Jane, we can do it here. Those who have been shareholders in Morningside Garden for less than 2 years, so to be changed from for less than 1 year to less than 2 years. That will change, they will.
Just increased from 1 year to 2 years.
So we're gonna change one word in
One
lettuce
year
and
to 2
C.
years then.
Those who have been shareholders in Morningside Gardens for less than 2 years are not permitted to sublet apartments. That's what we're changing. We're changing an S and we're changing a number. Go ahead, Jerry.
But,
No,
the way
They
that,
want it in there.
that he was
But
saying
the-
to say to be amended
From
from
1 year
Yeah,
to 2
yeah,
years.
yeah.
to 2 years.
So it's obviously
Changed from 1 year.
Yes,
So
change
go
from 1 year
to 2 years, right? Right, that's, you said it simply.
well, no, so what you're saying is you want the motion to include in it what it is now and where it would go.
Yeah, he's right.
And that's correct, but can I also suggest, can you add and allow the Policy and House Rules Committee to alter the wording to reflect this change?
Good.
Because
Yeah.
this is not the wording.
No, that won't be the word,
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That'll be another yellow piece of paper that we'll throw into the
It
House.
will,
Rules.
it will have to be on a piece of paper, it will have to go to every apartment, because that's
Yes.
what happens when there's a rules change.
But we do it before you change it in the House Rules, or we do it after this? It's gotta be
It's just different, the board.
No, when it goes to the apartment, I'm saying, Jerry. It goes after the apartment, after tonight?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because the board
Right.
will
Yeah.
allow
Right.
the committee the
But the
authority
president
to
will
provide
have to
it.
write a memo to the shareholder to.
Right, okay?
But
So,
by the way,
One
we'll have
moment.
to send a memo to the shareholder about the change.
Starting immediately?
yes?
Yes,
Yeah, it's better to say that.
yes.
Effective
Effective immediately.
whatever the word.
Well, that's why a House Rule is effective immediately,
Right, yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's,
August
August 1.
August 1 is fine.
Fine.
All right, so it's gonna say,
August 1,
Dan,
2014.
move that House Rule 33,
Be
Section C,
changed.
be changed from 1 year to 2 year, from 1 year to 2 years. And the language will be determined by the House Rules Committee. Is that correct?
Policy.
Policy and, I'm sorry, Policy and House Rules
With
Committee.
a hyphen.
August 1, 2014.
Yes, August 1, 2014. Okay, we're ready for a vote?
No.
Oh. I don't know if we're voting or questioning anymore. Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, number 2. Now, would read this way. The way you want to read it, I think, is that move, that House Rule 33 be amended as follows. That sections E and G be deleted. That's the motion. The E and G deleted. That the last sentence of section F, beginning with notwithstanding the foregoing, be deleted. And that section 8 and H, and then all of that written, except I think there's a mistake in the last sentence. I think it should read, prospective subleasees shall be interviewed by a quorum of the tenant selection committee.
No, we do not have a quorum. Usually we have two tenant selection committee members.
You don't want a quorum? You want? No? Okay.
No, because you,
All right.
you have to get.
So only one word change, shall. Okay? So, and we will refer it to the House Rules Committee to make the wording appropriate. We'll use the same thing again, all right? It goes to the House Rules Committee, it'll be done to become effective on August 1, 2014. Okay? Now, that's the motion. Now.
So I have a couple of questions. E, good, that makes sense, get rid of E. I don't understand why get rid of G. I don't understand the harm it's doing. I'm not saying don't, I just don't understand it. And I also don't understand the second thing, the beginning with notwithstanding. I don't understand why we're doing either of those things.
Okay. If you look at the motion, if you look at the council.
Yeah, I'm okay with G.
G, continuing on the market shall mean the apartment continues, but we are not allowing sublet of apartment
On the market, you want them sold.
Oh, I see. So the point is, we're never referring to continuous on the market.
That's right. It's only part of the survey.
Go ahead, Andy. No, I think Andy has one more here.
Yeah, the other one was notwithstanding, so is that the same kind of thing? So
That's
now
the
I
same
have-
code, yeah. It's just leaving everything pertaining to subletting apartment on the market.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay, now Gabriel.
Yeah, just quickly, I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Did I understand that you said that apartments that are being sublet while they're on the market are actually selling for 20% less?
Well, we had apartment
Curious.
stages, but because the apartment was not properly kept. And if you walk into one of these apartments, I walked out and I said, gee, if the board had the right of refusal, I would have come to the board and said, the board should buy this apartment, clean it up, do the renovation in it, and sell it. We could have probably made a nice penny on that for the final sale. Because whatever we've invested,
Dan?
remember, I'll find it there, we get very good money in it.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, I don't have a problem with H getting, well, H I guess is an administrative issue.
Yeah, it's an administrative issue because
Yeah, the timing and stuff.
every time it doesn't work out because we have a meeting or, you just
Yeah.
miss the meeting or whatever.
I kind of have a problem with E&G. I mean, I think that, it's a discretionary issue. Yes, the market is hot right now, but it's cold tomorrow.
We can change it again.
I know, but then you're going into like changing this, I mean, right now it's discretionary. I mean, I think that, there's, if you could just say no.
No,
we can't.
And you
Then
can't
we
say
can.
no on a rule. Once the
It's a
rule is
house
made,
rule.
you've got to follow the house rule.
We have to follow.
The tenant selection may extend to a long-term sublet.
No, but read the beginning.
Tenant
You're
selection
looking
committee may extend the term of long, I'm reading E.
He's talking about E. He's only talking about E.
may extend the term of long-term
Beyond 24.
sublet beyond 24 months.
We don't want to extend beyond 2 months.
You are looking.
2 years. And that's what caused our problem. No, here's the problem, Dan. When we did that, when this rule was changed to do this, it's because everybody went, well, they can't get maximum resale price. So you know what we'll do? We'll give them another year. So they'll have the 2 years plus a third year. We don't want to give them a third year. If you're selling your apartment, sell the apartment. We want a family in here. We want people in here who are going to live here and be part of the community.
And the future.
And of course, the flip tax.
Flip tax eventually, but you're also getting, you know, $7,000 in sublet. Right, I mean, you're getting money, not a lot.
But it's not, it's not equal value in terms of what it means to the community.
Then there's something else here. There are rate of repairs of part of apartment on the market. If our apartment on the market for 2-3 years, if somebody doesn't turn every offer down because they want that, it will help us, and we get a very little help us, it helps us with money to the bank. I mean, we're looking at the overall picture.
All right? Jerry, I'm sorry, Jerry. And who?
Chief.
Oh, Chief, okay.
Can you tell me the 45 days?
Yeah.
And why? Because, you know, I understand you might need more time for paperwork, but if you think, and when I was trying to conceptualize this,
Yeah.
I just kind of made it up in my mind that you have a meeting the 15th of the month every month, okay?
When?
So if it's 30 days, you can put that application in. You're going to probably miss the one this month and potentially be on the meeting next month. But if it's 45 days, if I put it in on July 3rd, July 4th, just because it's Independence Day, I'm not going to be able to be on July. It's not going to be 45 days. I'm not going to be able to be in August. It's going to go into September.
No, we, okay.
And so, so it just seems to delay this. And if you're talking about somebody who does actually need to sublet, it's hard to say, let's do it that far in advance. Nothing in here says that you must put that on your agenda for a meeting. So by making it 45 days, you're making it impossible to get that on your agenda until that September meeting, in my example. Where if you leave it at 30, you could possibly get it done in August. And if you can't, you're not in trouble because you don't have to.
It was basically not an issue to give certain flexibility. Not only that, if you have a sublet that we look at, we look at the paper, there's a problem there. It comes up again, you have to do another sublet. It's basically giving some flexibility. But if you feel that 30 days
Well,
one,
it's not, but it's not your intention.
No, it's not.
Let me finish the question.
Sure.
It's not your intention to refuse to see this example in August. It's your intention to move it forward. The reason why the 45 days are there is that the paperwork be in, that you know what the paperwork says, that you can evaluate the paperwork, and you know you have the time to do that. But as soon as that paperwork is cleared, you would put it on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
You're not going to hold it back.
Oh, no, we are not. We try to accommodate.
But you have to hold it back 45 days. It says at least 45 days. If you leave it at 30, you can go to 45 days. Nothing says you have
Well,
to.
just take I got a better solution.
Make it 30.
No, take out the word at least.
Right. Why not leave it at 30?
Leave it at 45 without the words at least, then you don't have a requirement to do it in 45 days. Let's see if we can I just want to see if we can work this out.
But why put 45 there at all, if that's the case?
Because the committee thinks that they have a clerical need for that time. And they have experience at it. I don't. I have to, this is something the committee's.
I have a suggestion for this.
Sure.
Since this is really, the TIC is changing the house rules, but we have a house rules and a policy committee. That's where, when I was on the committee with TIC, I really suggest this one should go to the House Rules and Policies Committee for their consideration, and then just 1 month, or in September. And then they can figure out, because when we discussed the 30 day and the 45 days, I had a problem. I said, yeah, how can we calculate this? So I think really it should come from Policy and House Rules Committee. Maybe we suggest the board refer to this motion to the Policy and House Rules Committee, and then they will come back, and then it maybe become a 2-committee motion. That would be good.
John, I think John's next.
Yeah, I don't really like this whole motion. I do think E does give the committee some discretion that may be needed at some future date. I think it does. And I think people who want to sublet have a need to sublet. I think someone who wants to sublet, to let it go 45, 50, 60 days before they can get a sublet, you're going to turn people away, and they're not going to be able to sublet. I mean,
It just,
I think it's very punitive, and I think, I understand we want to
if I
discourage
could,
sublets.
if I could point something out.
Finish?
Yes,
One
I'm sorry,
second.
I apologize.
I think we want to discourage sublets, I understand that, but I think we're getting to something really punitive, and adding house rules that are going to hamper people in the future. I think, yeah, apartments are selling, but we're coming out of a time when apartments weren't selling. And look at the arrears. The arrears are staggering. And when people sublet legally, we make money. And we want to encourage people to sublet legally. And if we get too punitive, we may be discouraging people from subletting.
Yvonne?
Well, in addressing what John said, I don't think the idea was to be punitive about it. It's just that we felt that we wanted to have the flexibility of more time when it's necessary. Now, I agree with Larry that you take away at least, and you just say 45 days, it's just like, then it's not saying that it's at least. That's the one thing. And the other thing is, in addressing Chi's comments, I think when the Policy and House Rules Committee works on something in the Policy and House Rules, and I think that when it's something that comes from a committee, where it's addressing a committee that actually works on something, I don't really see how the Policy and House Rules Committee could actually study this without being on the committee itself, someone being on the committee itself. I think the Policy and House Rules are made when they address the Policy and House Rules. It's more to do with the items that deal directly with shareholders or with management or whatever else might be the whatever items it is. But when it comes specifically to what a committee does, and it's the tenant selection committee in particular, I just don't think that the Policy and House Rules Committee needs to approve it. It's really the board that needs to approve it, because the board probably understands more about what the tenant selection committee does and the difficulties it faces.
Sure.
Actually, just to your point, as the chair of Policy and House Rules Committee, I would actually defer. Oh my God, it just changed. Things happen so quickly.
Yeah, we move at a snail's pace, don't worry about it.
As the former chair of the Policy and House Rules Committee, I can tell you if I was still the chair, I would actually defer to the committee. But as a board member, and current board member, I would suggest that we leave 30 there, because I think 30 gives you more flexibility. 45 makes it so that you cannot do something, whether it's at least 45 or 45.
Well, let me ask this question before we vote on this. If we took out the word "at least" and just left it 45 days without the words "at least," so I just want to find out, we can do it either way. So we can be 30, or we can leave it at 45 without the words "at least," which means there's tremendous flexibility in getting it on any schedule that you as a committee did. She's on the committee, you're on that committee, Dan's on the committee, Tova, Yvonne, James. There's a lot of board members here that have lived, well, Dan is relatively recent to that committee, but there are board members here who have been on that committee and served that committee and have had cases that had to be resolved because of things going on, and they feel they need this flexibility. And I don't see what the problem is if you say 45, but don't say "at least." At least means that's a must. But we leave out the words "at least," 45 days is open. John.
How about giving other members of the committee why they think he really needs to be struck?
All right, Andy, before we go to the committee?
I don't think getting rid of these changes, the beginning of it, it's still, why?
You wanted to address that before.
Oh.
I agree with Jerry, but I'm not on the committee.
James, do you want to say anything? You're on the committee? Yvonne, no, you've said it. Maitri, do you want to say anything? No. Okay, so are we agreeing that we want 30? Is that the idea? Okay, so we're making it 30.
So the least.
At least 30.
strike it. No,
So strike H.
It's already 30, it already says it in the law,
Oh.
so there's nothing to change.
So strike
No,
H.
I think we are changing, doesn't the end change? Prospective subleases shall be interviewed, that's not in there.
Shall.
But it says shall. Are we changing 45?
No.
That isn't
It
there.
says shall.
That's
We're just crossing out there.
I'm trying, wait, let me just see what it
It already
says.
says shall, Larry. It says shall.
Okay, that's it, so nothing to do, we're striking section H from it.
Okay.
The motion now deals with sections E, move that, House Rule 33, sections E and G be fully deleted, and the sentence in section F, last sentence beginning with notwithstanding foregoing be deleted, period. And language to be worked on by the House Rules Committee. Okay?
Policy and not-
To go into effect, policy and how, I keep demoting it. August 1st, 2014. I'm sorry, Jerry, I keep lowering that down to one word, but okay. All right, are we ready to
Do we
vote?
have to say fully deleted? Can't we just say deleted?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Deleted, E and G deleted. Right.
Deleted.
Okay, all in favor? We have unanimity. Look how.
No.
Okay, we don't have unanimity.
Wait,
We have,
are you moving it, Yvonne?
Yes.
yeah,
Thank you.
all right. So we voted?
Carried, and we have who voted?
But no, we know who voted. But John is the only one who voted yes or no?
No or?
No, okay, voted no. So it's 10 to 1. Because we're all 11 here, right? Yes, okay. Now, last one, Tolbert, all yours. And then I think we might almost be finished with the open session. Go ahead.
Okay, there is a motion made by the board in August 23rd, allowing two members of the Talent Selection Committee to approve, sublet, basically, ahead of the Talent Selection Committee. We suggest to delete it because we feel it's inappropriate.
Well, it's not even deleting. It's to rescind because it's never been put in the House rules.
Rescind it, yes, correct. Yes, rescind it.
Okay, so move that the board rescinds the motion passed on 8/23/2011, authorizing the beginning of a sublet prior to the interview or approval by the then selection committee as attached. And we will attach that to the document. Is there a second? Second. No, a move. Yvonne moves it. No, that's a separate thing. Here's the piece that's being attached. I just made this the motion. Move that that the board of directors rescinds the motion passed on 8/23/2011, authorizing the beginning of the sublet prior to the interview of approval by the 10th selection committee as see attached. Right. Okay? Yes, Sandy.
So I guess there's nothing we could talk about in an open session about why this is happening and why. I don't understand this. I read this. What's wrong? Was there a problem? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, because you're basically changing.
The way the 10th selection committee works.
Right. But so there's been a problem, and this is correcting the problem, and we can't really talk about the problem right now. No, fine.
Okay? We're good. All right? Are we ready for a vote? Yes, we are. All in favor? This is unanimous.
No.
Oh, yes, it is unanimous.
No,
Thank
I'm
you.
voting yes.
Oh, you vote, I'm sorry, raised it while I'm still counting unanimous. Okay, so it's 10, 1 no. Okay, done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tova. Thank you very, very much.
If I may just, please, if not for board approval, but it's for your information, we included, I think here, the fact that the tenant selection committee is very loud this year, about 15 people. And the question arose of what is a quorum. According to Robert's rule, the committee can actually, or this kind of committee can actually decide what should be a quorum. So we did a long discussion, and basically we agreed upon that the quorum should be 6 people, at least 3 of them should be board members. And the reason for at least 3 board members is because we have been told repeatedly by
Business corporation
council that really board member, 10th selection committee should actually be board member. So we, by having at least 3 board members, we sort of at least comply with advice of council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mike?
Maybe just a clarifying question.
Yes,
So I know there was some emails back and forth about this, about what the forum,
Yeah,
I think I might have missed this.
Yeah, you left that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
so it wasn't.
so it was voted, so next year, say if we don't have as many board members on.
Okay,
the selection
oh,
committee,
I'm glad you asked,
So then
okay.
what would be the?
When I was president, I was given a little opinion of the council that even though the selection committee has to be approved by the board, the president can appoint somebody, a member to the committee for a special meeting without vote.
I think that's what you're asking, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I guess-
what we will have is in case, and we ask everybody who is coming, right? If we find out that we are only 2 people, we ask the president to appoint a member, another board member.
So you want this to be a standard rule, because I think it just so happens this year that we have a lot of board members.
That's
on.
right.
So which is why I thought that you were saying, there was a conversation about if there's 6, then, what number, what?
No, we want 3 board members.
At any given time,
At
no
any
matter.
given time.
So if there's only 3 board members in that section, that means you can't have a quorum until either all 3
Yeah,
come
so,
or the
right.
president.
So if only 2 board members will come, only 2 of the board members of the committee will come for the August, we will ask the president to please appoint 1 other board member for that meeting, and it's legal.
My only concern is that it could actually prevent you from having meetings, because, because
That's
it's
right,
an impediment,
yeah,
right?
which is why we have this opening that the president can appoint another board member for a special, committee meeting.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just think that it's a bottleneck. I mean, it's
Yeah.
You have to have 3 board members to make to pass these things,
Yeah,
because
we-
otherwise you're in violation of like New York Business Corporation law.
I mean,
This is an important thing that a board must do. I mean, we could spend days meeting here and meeting everybody as the board, but that would be insane. So what we do is we do it so that we have at least 3 members at present at any time that you're voting on anything to do with a new shareholder or anything that requires a vote from council. We're not gonna try to supplant anything, but if I get a call from Tova that there's only 2 board members attending, we're gonna send a 3rd one there. Because we're not gonna have them stop production because we're down to 2 board members.
Okay?
It's a fail safe. What is that? That's all right. It's getting loud.
While we're sitting here, the chimney is coming down. All right, thank you very much, Tova. All right, we are now up to board member motions.
First member motion is Daniel Lowenstein. Everyone, please.
Move that the annual fee for the bike room storage be reduced from $120 to $60, which should say annually.
I think we
No,
got
it
that.
says, it says the annual fee.
For new bike storage contract, the fee will be prorated at the end of the new contract. The new fee will be required for the 2015 bill.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, go ahead, Dan.
So the rationale for this is, we have a lot of bikes, a lot of people want bikes, and I think that, between the storage that we've got, that in the buildings themselves, the storage that we're gonna be using, that we're gonna be installing in the garage, which is 40 spaces. There's been a lot of demand for space, and I think that we should try to accommodate as many people as possible. I've heard from numerous people about the expense of essentially storing a bike that you paid $100 for, to spend, to spend $120 a year to store. I think we should be doing everything possible to accommodate bike use in Morningside Gardens. This is not supposed to be a moneymaker for us. The spaces, and I know this is going forward on this, but the spaces do remain empty, and I think that I have a sense, and I don't know if you've heard this or not, but I mean, I certainly talk to folks who want to store their bikes, but they're not, that's a cost that they're not willing to pay, they're store in their apartments and bring it up and down the elevators. I think that, to the extent we can get it out there, into the I think fill these spaces more readily. I think this is also one part of the solution. We talked about the outdoor spaces. I think that's part of another conversation, but there's,
Can we just talk about this
yes,
conversation
but
right
I think
now?
that that's another part of, supply of spaces that we need to address, and I know we've been kind of kicking that whole lot.
James?
When you said something like, it's not a moneymaker for us, and I'm just wondering if is that the philosophy of the corporation in regard to all the amenities? Are they all offered in such a way that we never think of them, or we don't consider them revenue resources? Because this is about $11,000.
All amenities are above the line income to the corporation. We consider them money makers. All amenities. $22,000
No, I was
a
talking
year.
about, I know, I'm saying cutting it in half is $11,000.
Oh, okay.
in revenue. So I was kind of questioning about that statement, and I think it's been answered. That's what I thought too. I think of amenities as luxuries, they're not necessities. It's not something people are entitled to. And neither is the gym or the wood shop or any of those things. There are things that you pay for because you think they're important. So,
Or parking.
or parking, which I have on the list. So that's a luxury. So I don't know. Not so positive.
Maitri first. We're calling down the list. Maitri?
So, I mean, I definitely support this reduction. I think that, I don't think that we should, I think it's the right thing to do, it's ecological. I think we should encourage people to exercise, to use bikes instead of cars. I think this is the right direction to go. I think, in terms of money making, I think, in general, don't think that getting money from corporators, like we should look elsewhere for additional sources of revenue, not potentially, from our shareholders. So I think that this is something that I would definitely agree. And we have 2 bikes, and that was definitely one of the cases where a bike costs less than it would cost to actually store it for years. So I think it actually is it's just too high. And I don't remember how much thought was put into coming up with this amount, so I actually think that's something that I'm definitely supporting.
John B.
This motion came from the Humanities Committee itself, and at the time I was assistant treasurer, Andy was treasurer. We were going into several meetings with Debra and the committee, and the bike rooms were a mess, and people weren't paying their fees at all. And I think that any motion like this should be sent back to the Humanities Committee.
Are you making such a motion?
I would like to make a motion that this
motion on the
be
table.
He's allowed to, he's allowed to table this and send it to the amenities. That's what he's saying.
for review.
Is there a second to that? I don't think we need a second on table. You need a second?
But there's no discussion.
There's a second on it?
No.
Good. Okay, we have a second. There's no discussion. We go to a vote. All in favor of tabling and sending it to amenities?
I need names, hold on.
Criscarello, Katsulo, Walbert, Campbell, Ackerman, Carter, Padone. All opposed? G, Maitri, Dan. Abstention?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Which way did you vote?
I'm voting yes.
Okay, good. I'll just make sure I wake you up next time. Okay, thank you. It's back to the amenities. All right, we're now to a motion from Gabriel Suleiman.
Move that the board of directors thanks the ad hoc committee led by Andy Ackerman and Dan Lowenstein for organizing successfully the July 1st bike auction, a community-wide event that resulted in over $14 million in revenue, the co-op and the distribution of over 50 bikes to shareholders.
So you don't believe my statement of thank you on behalf of myself and the board is sufficient?
I'll second it.
Well, just-
Yeah.
I understand you're going to second it.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you a question. You don't believe the president's report in which I thanked Dan and Andy and discussed how much money this actually made and that we then transferred that money to MRHS is sufficient? That we now have to have a motion that is inaccurate?
First of all,
I don't think-
the fact is that this motion was submitted.
You You're not the maker.
Why do you want, what is
One
your?
second.
Do you have to talk in this way?
One second.
Do you have to talk in this way? I mean,
One second, Dan. You don't want to wait a second. You jumped in. He has a mouth. Gabriel.
Thank you, Dan. Yes, I didn't know that, I was privy to what the president's report. Thank you. When I wrote this motion.
This motion was submitted
No,
to
no.
court.
What I'm saying is, I said it tonight.
So why didn't he withdraw?
I'm asking why is it still going forward if it was said tonight? That's all I'm asking.
I'd like to talk about it, that's why.
You want to talk about it? So can we change the $1,400 in revenue from
Yes.
1,400 to the accurate
But
amount?
first I'm allowed to speak about the motion before we make an amendment.
It's not
I'm
amendment. I'm trying to correct the motion.
If I'm presenting them, first I read the motion, then I'm allowed to speak of it, and then the board can talk. That's how I understand it. Anybody?
You have the floor, go ahead.
Thank you.
I
God, I didn't know this was a jumper.
Yeah, I recognize it, but you don't usually speak about an incorrect motion. You usually correct the motion and then speak about it.
It's an amendment, Larry.
It's an amendment.
Go ahead.
If I had control of space and time like that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be on a castle, because I couldn't know that was gonna happen. Anyway, how could I know what was gonna be on the president's report? Everybody on this side of it. Anyway, no, I just wanted to say that I think this was a great event that happened, and that those of us that were involved were really surprised at the turnout of people. There were a lot of people out that night, and I was moved by the organization of this, and how much this brought the community together. So that's why I wanted to, put this motion together and just thank the two board members who organized it, because I think it was successful revenue-wise, even with the overtime. It was successful with the redistribution, and it was also really successful bringing everybody together. So it was a fun point for being part of it. And I thought it should make it to the minutes, because it was something positive, which I think, we often need in the community and also on the board. That's all.
Andy?
So, I would like to make a friendly amendment, which is to change revenue to receipts, because it is really a gross number, not the net number. And also shareholders, I was there, I was out checking for people's shareholder, any residents was fine with me, so I would change shareholders to residents. And then I would also like to add to thank the people who were on the meeting. You want me to read them off?
If you're adding, if that's the amendment, might as well.
So the additional members would be Eric Dernbach, Susanna Horn, Alan Kraft, Joe LaPeek, Gori Mukherjee, Gabe, and David Bassett.
So you'll pass that up, please?
I wrote more because I wrote it up before I even saw this, so it's just the names.
Maitri?
I just want to clarify a little bit of how this conversation went. I think Gabe had a motion he was reading. It was part of the open session. It was submitted, it was appropriate.
Are you speaking to the motion?
Yeah.
Because that's what you should be doing right now. Not explaining anything, it's just speaking to the motion, please.
I'd like to
Is that
hear
your
what
rule?
Mike has to say about it.
But that's not what we do in this meeting. We have to speak to the motion, because that's what's on the table.
Okay,
Please
so
speak to the
I will
motion.
talk to the motion then. Okay, so I'm talking about the order in which changes were made. So there's a motion in here, I think during the meeting, the dollar amount changed from 1,400 to whatever it went to. So I think in terms of the sequence of things, yeah, that was the only changes that have been made. And I think the way it was approached was, do you still want to make the motion given that we had this conversation, and then went back to, well, all you need to do is change it from 1,400 to 800. So I think the way this conversation is occurring is actually inappropriate.
You just haven't spoken to the
That's
motion.
okay,
One
because
second.
I wanted to get out what I wanted to say, and
But you
then.
still haven't spoken to the motion. Do you have something to say about the motion?
No.
Okay. Chief?
Yeah, I think on these changes, it's good. So you just still use the 1,400, but that's the receipt, right? That's a different, I like that, so that the shareholders know the gross, like whatever you call it, revenue is 1,400, and then the president's report has the net income we got, and then gave to MRHS. And then, but I also want to add friendly amendment besides Andy, because there are employees who work with the community members, I think just add, and the, whatever you say. But it's part of their work, right?
Yes.
So, and the staff who participate or
Yes.
who work over the staff. Just add staff, so people know that not only the board
Except
members.
You're listing the committee members by name.
I think that's.
I know, and it says, and staff.
Right.
So they're not being listed?
No, you just the staff.
Just list as.
Yeah, I think staff who works at night, that's fine, yeah. Maybe before the event, right, they have to get prepared.
I would make a friendly amendment to add the names of the staff, because I think if you have the names of all committee members, you should also have the names of the staff. So I think, if you know who worked it, you've got the names, let's add, I think you should have the names.
Hand me a list.
Jerry, please.
I would like to speak in favor of this motion, and I don't think it hurts to say thank you twice. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Maybe I'd like to call the question.
Thank you, Jerry.
All right, we got a motion? All in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Good. Okay.
And I'll send it to you, okay? So you know it.
Jerry, why don't you take the lead on the draft inspection letter?
Did everybody get to read it over? Okay, and thanks to Gabe for, for the original draft and really going ahead and doing it. And I think, the idea here was really to give people more of a heads up, soften it up a little bit, say what it was that, we were trying to do. And I will take some responsibility for not realizing how quickly these meetings come up sometimes, and not getting it out to the board, and thank you Dave, for going ahead and doing that. So one thing that I would say we probably do need to include in it, which we talked about a little bit, but I do think we need something here that says a little bit more that this will not be voluntary. The way that we've written it does sound like people can probably, it sounds like people can opt out of it. And I think more, or at least what I was trying to say here, in the second to last paragraph, was that, we wouldn't barge into somebody's apartment. But, I would like to, be sure that we're saying this is not voluntary. And to try to make it so that management can get through this and actually get it done. But, try to accommodate people who might not be able to be there at certain times of the day.
Ed is prompting me, I just wanted to say to you, she's thinking that if you put the word in the second sentence, mandatory inspection process, in the second line, mandatory there.
Complete and efficient.
Mandatory inspection process, and then delete the part about unless otherwise directed, the word directed, unless otherwise requested by shareholder.
Well, I'd like to, okay.
I'm just saying, these are suggestions.
Yeah. I would like to think of this as the ultimate letter, because it doesn't actually have to go out for a little while. I think it still needs a little bit more work. And honestly, I gave it some thought, and I want like you to speak also, but I'd like to actually avoid the word mandatory and use not voluntary. It means the same thing, but I just think it's a little softer.
How about all in bold?
It says will enter all apartments. I think you just need to make it clear in this last clause, it's strictly referring to scheduling. Right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's getting, or maybe it means, well, you guys can just say, I don't want them to come in at all.
Right.
And so I think you can finesse that.
Yeah.
It should not have heavy language.
Yeah.
So, an efficient, non-voluntary inspection process?
I don't think we need to actually finish the wording right this time.
No, just.
No, he
Because
doesn't.
I'm looking for an idea.
Can I say something? Because I
Yeah.
think this was something one of the things that I wanted to somehow balance an efficient process and not, and also at the same time is to have an efficient process. That Russell, you know, made a good point. We wouldn't want to have to schedule 500 apartments. And I basically what I wanted it to be was is that if management doesn't hear from anybody, they're going to go in during the schedule. So really the responsibility rests on the shareholder to change the schedule, which could mean that 90% plus apartments will efficiently be entered. Because once you put the responsibility on the person to come up with a schedule, they forget whatever, and then it happens.
But the language says that they can direct the manager. That can't happen. They can request
Okay, yeah,
of
that's
the
fine.
manager.
That's fine.
Changing the word to request.
Unless another time is requested by the shareholders.
So basically, the schedule is happening unless somebody.
That's fine.
So Jerry, you're gonna work on it some more?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, basically, this, you know, in my, this was not to be a motion, this was not to get approval, but it was just basically to kind of hear what people, you know, is this okay? Is there something missing?
Yes,
Hey,
there's
There's something missing. The end of the-
Please, in the next.
And
At the end of the next class.
If you have any questions, please.
Please.
All right.
Pretty cool.
Now, I want to point out to the two of you that this was a tripartite committee. It was not just two board members doing it. It was the two board members and the general manager. I sent this to him on Thursday because no one had sent it to him.
I'll take responsibility for that.
So, Russell, do you have any comments?
Again, just in my.
This is the first time anybody's hearing the comments.
I mean, in my review, October, I think is one of the most important things that jumped out at me, that it has to happen in October, or we're talking about pushing it off to another year. Because we're not gonna do that in the November timeframe with people, nor the December timeframe either. So if this is gonna happen at all, the October timeframe is really gonna have to be firm, or we're gonna have to really discuss moving it. So, beyond that, I am a little more in favor of some stronger wording. I do have a fear of putting the ability of too much scheduling in the hand of shareholders to the point where someone says, well, fine, I want it 3 years from tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, that's not reasonable either. You know, so putting in some other wording where it's reasonable, and although we're trying to soften it, a little stronger. You know, this is something where the corporation is taking this initiative for the benefit of all, you know, and it is above the, you know, the singular shareholder.
Dealing with that, if you included in there something about within 7 days of the scheduled date, you have to, something like that?
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound reasonable?
Yes, yes.
Right. That does give us some flexibility.
All right,
I like
and
that.
I want to tell you something. This is becoming really important because I believe that a tree saved a human being's life about 2 weeks ago. Most of you don't know this, but Building 6, someone had a piece of furniture on their balcony, and the morning my daughter walking back in, and I see 4 of our workers standing there, and they said, how do you like our new decor? And I said, where should I be looking, since this looks the same to me? They said, look up. And in the tree was a big heavy chair that was caught in the branches. They had to get it down, then it was taken to Montalvo, and Montalvo called the shareholder, and then read her the rule that can't be like that. So doing this inspection is really, really important. And I just want to let you know that this is that serious.
Russell, I think to your point about the broadness, you know, just making sure that people know this is like an effort for everybody. The third to last paragraph, does that handle that, or do you think there's other language?
Which paragraph?
Violating especially
Oh.
to ensure that shareholders are living in a safe environment, and that nothing in the apartment threatens the well-being of other shareholders through the systems and structures.
I think that addresses it in the explanation point of view, that the people understand why we're doing it. And unfortunately, I tend, and I apologize, to think of the worst case scenarios. The residents who are just gonna give us a hard time saying, no, I'm gonna stand in front of my door and say no. And at some point, we're obviously not gonna knock somebody down and barge into your apartment, but at some point, those people will have to be addressed through legal channels.
Right, you gotta get a letter.
And then that's money, then that's budgeting, and then that's other things with attorneys that I would prefer not to go through it, as long as people understand a little more upfront, you know, why we're doing this, and more so a little more strongly worded as required.
Okay, so, can we agree that the committee of 3 will work this out, and this letter will go out in the end of August, beginning of September, or just the beginning of September?
I would say beginning of September.
September.
A reasonable time.
All right. And the signatory on the letter will be the general manager? Okay, done. So, just so you know,
Not the president.
no, the general manager. It's a management initiative under the proprietary lease, and the board supports this. Now, this letter has to be completed. When, Russell? When do you want to, give everybody a time frame, the 3 of you have to have it all done? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yep. What'd you say, Russ?
It's gonna go out after Labor Day, so we have to look at it in the back vacation.
Right.
Let's say it'll be finalized by us.
August 15th?
I have actually.
Wait 1 second. Gabe, August 15th?
That's fine, I'll put it in.
Oh, okay. Andy?
This question of it's just being signed by management, it doesn't really say here that the board is approving of this, and that came up. I think that should go in there.
Well, we haven't,
You didn't finalize the language, right?
Right.
I think
As they
Yeah.
go forward, it'd be good to put that in there.
Well, it's got to be at the board direction.
No, it's referring to the history.
just referring to.
It's the board's direction pursuant to the proprietary lease. The board's direction pursuant to the proprietary lease, because that is the authority.
I mean, I don't mind at all being the signatory on the letter going out, as long as shareholders do understand that it is a board endeavor, you know, that's the most important thing.
Thank you.
Jake?
Yeah, I just want
But you're sufficient.
to say that, so does that mean that the 3 of the committee members will finalize the letter?
Yes.
And then without board looking at it again and then send it out?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's my interpretation.
Okay, and then, but I really suggest not just this letter, also some other letters from management with the information like memo set up, certain information from the email you get, like whoever signed up for MHHC's communication email, that's really timely, which is good. But to me, sometimes when I see a memo coming up, and then some shareholders also mentioned the same idea I had, it's really cold. Pump, that's a memo, like the management will blah, blah, blah do this. I think we should have a courtesy to address shareholders, like dear shareholders, or whatever you want to say. It gave them a good beginning to address certain issues. So it's more professional. Because otherwise it's so cold when I read those emails. And then for this memo, it should be special. Like if you send out on September, you can say, hope everybody had a good summer, whatever. And then you address some issue. But it really makes a difference.
I got it.
Yeah, not just for you, I said.
She may have a nice little.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Thank you, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may go home. The entertainment is over for the evening. We're now going to close session. Yes, bathroom breaks for everybody.